Hello and welcome to Too Many Movies, the podcast where we discuss DVDs, Blu-rays, and even the occasional VHS tape. I'm your host, Tal. I have William with me here, and this is part 3, the finale of our Friday the 13th horror movie marathon binge, whatever the fuck we want to call it.
I thought part 4 was the final chapter.
No, it's part 3, William.
Well, they did want part 3 to be the last one at one point. That's why Pamela shows up at the end. But then the movie made money.
Right, exactly. Well, you know what, William? We have more restraint than Friday the 13th producers. So
say that, but it's been 14 years.
That's true. We'll probably be back. But that's besides the point. William, I'm very tired, so I figured we might as well just get right into it. I have my Friday the 13th mug with me right here that I got from Spirit Halloween a couple weeks ago. It's got hot chocolate. It's very delicious.
Is it
it's very good.
Is it like the camping mug style one?
It's like a very big mug. It says Friday the 13th, and then it has Jason's mask printed on it. Apparently, it's upside down. I don't know if that's the point or if it was a printing error. Either way, it's funny, so I love it.
I have one I got from like Walmart like 2 or 3 years ago that has like the hockey mask and like double machetes, like a skull and crossbones thing.
There you go. That's nice.
So anyway, we're here to talk about the final act of the Friday the 13th series, also known as the Jason series, technically.
This is the era I like to call the what the fuck era because it's just kind of all over the place.
Yeah, and it's all because they really just wanted to make one specific movie, but that movie took 10 years to figure out what to do.
It took 10 years to make.
This was the New Line era, so Paramount is no longer... I say that, but then we get to the 2009 remake, and I'm like, wait, Paramount did produce this one? But it's owned by Warner Brothers.
But
yeah, this was after Paramount sold the rights to, I guess they sold it to Sean from what I've been seeing, and Sean went to New Line because he wanted to do Freddy versus Jason.
Right.
But then while they were working on that, at one point, Wes Craven came back to New Line and said, I want to make a Freddy movie again. So then they made New Nightmare in 94. So since they had to wait till after that to do Freddy versus Jason, they said, well, I guess we'll make a Jason in the meantime. So it went to Jason Goes to Hell. And you can tell they did not want to make the movie.
No. So, yeah. I'm glad we're starting things off with Jason Goes to Hell. Because, man, what a film.
Yeah, I don't think this is a spoiler to say that, generally speaking, most people put this at the very bottom.
I put this at the very bottom. Yeah,
I also put this at the very bottom. We'll get to that spoiler now.
Yeah, out of all the movies from, and even though the next 3 after this one are kind of messy in their own right, there's something about this one that's just straight up just wow. Like, you failed on all fronts, movie. Like, see, that's the thing. I'm not going to say that, like, the first 8 Friday the 13th were masterpieces. Obviously, we haven't been saying that. But, like, even at their worst, there was some understanding of how to make a movie, you know? Like, they weren't made by guys in their early 20s who were just straight-up horror fans. That's kind of the vibe I get from this movie.
You know, how did he get the gig? Let me see if they bring up how he came on.
I really want to know this because, yeah, so I heard that before even watching this movie, I had heard that director Adam Marcus was like really young when he made it. And I looked it up, you know, if my math is correct, the dude was like 24, 25 when he made the movie, which is kind of young to be helming part 9 of a major series, don't you think?
Like, when I hear that, like, I think of, like, in John Carpenter's The Thing, the guy who did the effects for that movie is younger than us. He's like 22 or something when he did the effects in there.
Right.
But that's also not directing, to be fair.
Right. And I'm not saying that you can't be young and make something amazing. Sam Raimi was 21 when he made The Evil Dead. Like, the example I bring up in my review is Orson Welles was like 25 when he made Citizen Kane. What I'm saying is the fact that Jason Goes to Hell ended up the way it is I kind of attribute that to the fact that the guy who made it was my age, and this is exactly the kind of movie I probably would make had I been given a budget of millions of dollars and I was able to do whatever the fuck I wanted with Friday the 13th.
Boy, I got a quote now.
Okay, please.
Yeah. It's a paragraph, but I think it's fine.
No, please.
From Adam Marcus, director Jason Goes to Hell. I went to NYU Film School, and as I was finishing, I got 2 job offers. One was to write for TV, and the other was to come out and be Sean's slave for a year, and he'd give me my break. So I started working for Sean, and he had brought out with me a script my friend Dean Laurie had written called Johnny Zombie, which later became My Boyfriend's Back. Dean wanted me to direct, but the film got set up at Disney, and when it became a bigger movie, they wanted a different director on it. So I turned to Sean and said, come on, give me a movie. And he said, well, New Line wants another Jason movie. Now, I'll be honest. I was like, oh no, come on, Sean. I want a career. And I think that line kind of says it all, doesn't it? There's so many quotes in this section from him that basically just read like, he genuinely does not understand the series or why people are upset.
I mean,
like, there's several times when he's like talking about like his choices. He's like, people don't want just the same thing again of Jason in the woods killing people. No one wants that again. That is literally exactly what everyone wanted.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. It's like, okay, if you're gonna do something different, that's fine. But what you did was stupid.
Not good.
Yeah, what you did sucks. Like, so first off, I want to just let's establish this by saying so I put the disc in for Jason Goes to Hell. This is still the same Shout Factory box set that we're still using. I put the disc in, and at the menu, I press play, and it says play like director intro, and I'm like, I'm sorry, there's a director intro?
Yeah, only for this one and Jason X for some reason.
I don't know why, but okay.
And they're not very long intros either, so it's like, what was the point?
Yeah, so one, it's the unrated cut. 2, it has a director intro. I watched the director intro, and it's of Adam Marcus, the director, and he's thanking me for buying this movie, which he quoted saying is probably the 4th version of the movie I own.
Which, to be fair, for Friday the 13th fans, that is absolutely true. But for someone who just bought the box for the first time ever, no.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, as a complete outsider going into this movie, I'm like, did I miss something? Was that a joke? Was that supposed to be funny? Because, like, what does that mean? Like, are you saying that?
The bit is that horror fans will buy anything.
Sure.
That's just a true statement.
Yeah.
Why do you think so much physical media that comes out these days is horror? That's why. Yeah,
exactly. But it was just really strange. But I mean, the strangeness didn't stop there because then I had to watch the actual movie.
I will give him credit though, because you noticed yesterday. Yesterday I got the reissue of the 4K steelbook of the original movie that was at Best Buy, which it's the 4K disc that came out a year or so ago. In the Blu-ray steelbook that came out like 2 years ago with a brand new slipcover that is using artwork from the Waxworks Records album art from 10 years ago. It's also my 4th copy of the movie, technically.
Oh, so...
proof to what he was saying.
All right, I'll give him that. But still, you know what? He made Jason Goes to Hell. He gets no respect from me.
I'm going to say my favorite scene in the movie is right at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might be the best part of the movie.
Well, because it's the part that feels the most like a Friday the 13th movie.
Oh, not even just for that, but just the fact that it opens with them saying, with fucking the military finally gets involved and just blows him the fuck up.
Now, that's funny. I will admit. I like the idea that, like, you know, they set up this bait for Jason to come in and, like, kill this random woman taking a bath, but it turns out it was just a sting operation but from the FBI to take down Jason Voorhees. Now, first of all, cool idea for maybe a series that kind of established Jason as, like, a known threat. Like, the first 8 movies had, like, there were characters who had no idea who Jason Voorhees was, and then all of a sudden in 9 everybody knows who he is. Like, he's like this national phenomenon, like this national serial killer that people know about. It's like, where is this coming from? Like, this makes no sense. But you know what?
I mean, logically, if there's a guy who's killed 200 people, it would be national news. It's just, that's more of an issue with the other movies than this one.
Sure.
But still.
Now, good. Now, granted, yes, I like when Jason blows up. When Jason goes boom, me likey. It was very fun.
I do like the actual design they came up with Jason's where he's just like literally rotting away. The mask is getting like absorbed into his skin.
That's cool. That's a cool detail. Again, though, it doesn't make any sense from the last movie where he turned back into a child. But
yeah, forget about it.
Forget about it.
Once again, the answer is don't worry about it.
Yeah. Now, I do also like the scene of the coroner, like, you know, when they bring in Jason's remains and like the coroner's going through like everything, and they're doing it. They're cutting it in between the credits, and it's really cool. I love the line where the coroner says, where he goes, "In my professional opinion, this guy's deader than shit." And then immediately he's just like, strike that from the record. Yeah, like, that's funny.
And then he devours Jason's heart for some reason.
Now, so here's where the problems really start. So first of all,
it's called Jason Goes to Hell, and Jason is barely in the movie.
Jason's barely in the movie. Well, so I'll give the movie some semblance of credit with that, because their excuse for not having Jason, the Jason we see with the hockey mask and the big hulking guy, you know, their excuse is that, oh, Jason is like pure evil and like he can just go into different people's bodies and possess them. And it's like, okay, so that's the Jason we see, quote unquote. Okay, that's kind of cool.
Now, how does this explain part 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8?
Well, yeah. Why is he all of a sudden doing this? Like,
the problem with this movie is that it is trying to now establish lore and explain everything by introducing brand new elements that don't have any correlation to anything else.
Exactly. You want to know what happens at the beginning? So, you know, there's that coroner who devours Jason's heart like it's fucking barbecue ribs. And so then his assistant comes walking in, and you know how that assistant is just like bragging about like taking a shit on Jason's corpse. You want to know who that guy really is?
Who?
He's the movie's writer. So the joke just writes itself there. Now, here's my question. Do you think they were doing that on purpose, or are they so stupid that they did it unintentionally?
Fucking, I don't know. Let me look up if it says anything from the screenwriter. Because when they first start talking, they usually credit it as a screenwriter.
Right, exactly.
Dean Lorre. I watched Sean before. He was always saying that he wasn't going to do another Friday for TV unless he could do something different with it. There have been 8 movies. Okay, that's another thing to point out, is that they also marketed Sean Cunningham coming back for this like it was a big deal. He didn't direct the movie. He just produced it.
Yeah, he just produced it, and he gave it to these kids, essentially, to like do something with it.
Yeah. So it's like how Steven Spielberg presents Joe Dante's Gremlins.
Yeah, exactly. Or Steven Spielberg presents Robert Zemeckis' Back to the Future. It's like
Steven Spielberg directed Ready Player One. Wait, what?
You got us that one time.
That one time.
Now, look, again, there are some cool things in this movie. Like, there is that shot where, like, so the coroner passes by a mirror and you see Jason, like, in the mirror, you know, implying that Jason has possessed the coroner.
And that's cool. That's what they should do more with. Like, I can picture, like, a really cool scene, because it is established later on that the other characters can see that.
Yes.
So, like, use that. Like, imagine, like, a scene like a hall of mirrors or something. We have, like, a group of people, you don't know what Jason is, and then you see the one guy standing there, and you just see a bunch of Jasons around. Do something cool like that.
That could be really cool.
They do, like, 2 scenes of Jason in the mirror, and that's it.
Yeah, exactly. They only do, like, exactly. Just 2 scenes. And then we have the rest of the movie. So Jason is now a possessing salamander snake thing that even though the coroner eats his heart and that's how he possesses him. But, like, how did the coroner know to eat the heart? Like, why would he do that if he wasn't possessed yet?
This is very much a how do you know that kind of movie.
So,
I think the biggest example being a brand new character to the series, bounty hunter Creighton Duke.
Now, so we're introduced to Creighton Duke because some show, some news show is just like, oh, welcome to American Serial Killer or something like that. I'm your host, Dick whoever the fuck. And I'm here with Creighton Duke, quote-unquote expert on Jason lore. And it's like, oh, hi, where have you been? Like, who are you? Like, why are you in... See, okay, I'll give the movie this. It's not entirely the movie's fault, because Friday the 13th has never really been about having consistent side characters. You know, like, in Halloween, you had Jamie Lee Curtis's Laurie Strode, or like Dr. Loomis, or you had somebody related to the Strodes to like kind of keep it consistent. So you understand why these characters know things about Michael Myers. It doesn't automatically make the movies good, but I can understand why we're following them along and why these characters know things about Michael. Here, there's not a single side character that remains consistent in the Friday the 13th series.
There was, but he's not in them anymore.
Right. So now you just have random characters coming up and being like, I know how to defeat Jason. It's like, okay, why? Now, I'll also give the idea of Creighton Duke. First of all, Creighton Duke, great name, great character introduction. Like, he seems like a really cool character. That's also wasted, but we'll talk about that later. I like the idea of this bounty hunter having like the idea that he can just defeat Jason because he's this cool bounty hunter. He's like, yeah, I'll kill him. Like, he's essentially the Robert Shaw Quint character from Jaws, where it's just like, I'll get your shark and I'll clean him for free. But the movie makes it
he is not the main character. He's just a side character.
Well, he's not the main character, but then the movie also gives him exposition on Jason being this, like, pure evil entity. And it's like, okay, how do you know that? How do you know that? Like, just make him a bounty hunter character that just wants to kill Jason. Like, that's it. Nothing more than that. Or you do the thing that
the Puss in Boots movie did of Humpty Dumpty.
Yeah.
Just cut back to all the other movies and just Creighton Duke is standing there somewhere.
That could be fun.
Also, apparently, I have the book open here. Apparently, the whole reason why he's dressed like a cowboy, that's just because the actor wanted to be a cowboy.
So this is just like a Demon in Part 5. Like, they just let the actor come up with the character.
Like, he says here, I've got an audition for you. It's Friday the 13th. I read the script, and it was a bounty hunter. And to me, this guy was a stone-cold cowboy. I said, if I can dress like a cowboy, I'll do the role. So that's the only reason he's a cowboy, because the actor wanted to be a cowboy.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we've established Creighton Duke. It's like, okay, so we have this character. Is he the main character? No.
No, the main character is actually, and I do need to like bring this up now, because this is something that I deliberately didn't mention until now, because it's relevant.
Sure, go ahead.
Throughout the late 80s, Hal, were you aware of the Friday the 13th TV series?
The what?
Well, you didn't know about the Friday the 13th TV series that Paramount did in the late 80s?
William, don't gaslight me.
This is relevant because the actor for the main character was actually one of the leads in the Friday the 13th TV series. Look it up. Yeah. You didn't know about that one, did ya?
No, I didn't. What the fuck do you mean there's a series? What? What do you make a series of? Like,
it's Friday the 13th in name only. It's a horror series by Paramount that uses the name. It's actually about like a group of people that run this cursed antique store where they have to like return cursed artifacts. So it's like anthology horror with a recurring cast of characters.
So what the plan for Halloween was making it an anthology thing before it became...
This was, well, Freddy Krueger just got a TV show. Let's do one for Friday the 13th.
Okay.
I just brought up the fact.
Did Jason
No,
play
Jason's
a
not in
part?
the series at all. Jason's not in the series at all. It's just using the logo, baby.
Okay.
But the point is that the actor that was from that series graduated into one of the actual movies. So now he's the guy in the varsity jacket in this movie.
Did he play the same character?
Nope. But
I
just wanted to bring up to you that there was a Friday the 13th TV series.
That makes me so mad for some reason. Because you know what? This scene where we're introduced to the main character, I need to dissect. So, first of all, it's so...
Oh, you dissected like the coroner did?
Yeah, I need to dissect it because it is everything wrong with the movie. So, first up, the scene starts off where, like, a waitress is watching the TV program, like, in the back of the restaurant, and then she looks like slightly horrified. And you think like, oh, okay, it's just a random waitress just watching the TV and just being horrified by the fact that Jason may or may not be out and about or whatever. Then she goes out to, like, you know, be a waitress, like, out in the restaurant, and Creighton Duke is there randomly. Like, okay, he's there now. And so then he starts talking to her and, like, heavily implying that she's very important. Even though the scene didn't establish that. Like, we have no idea who this lady is. William, you want to tell the audience who this lady is?
Oh, the waitress in the beginning of the movie?
Yeah, you want to know what part she plays?
Yeah, it's the role of the all-important character of Diana Voorhees.
Jason's sister.
Yeah, you know, Jason's sister that we didn't know about until right now.
Yeah, remember her?
So I was only half paying attention when we were talking about that because I was reading this quote from one of the people in the movie that said that announced that Adam Marcus is actually short. Adam Marcus wore lifts in his shoes, I'll tell you that, because he's short. And I only know that because I was in the wardrobe room and I was like, whose high heels are these that don't look like high heels? And they're like, shh, he thinks he's tall though. He would be like, I'm 5'10", and I'm like, honey, you're 5'8".
Oh no, Adam! you're making yourself look worse by doing that.
My man.
But anyway, back to the dissection. So, Diana is like this character we've never met before. We don't even know that she's the sister of Jason yet, but, you know, because the movie doesn't feel like revealing that yet. Because, you know, when a movie withholds information and it's revealed later on, that's called good storytelling. So, anyway, then she's just like, Creighton, I'm not important, like, get out of here. And then some, like, other random cop, like, comes over and arrests Creighton for, I don't know, being a nuisance, even though he didn't do anything, but whatever. He's arrested now. And so then Diana goes over to this character at the bar and just starts spewing all this information to him. And I'm like, why are you talking to this random extra? Oh, wait, that's the main character of the movie. The movie does such a terrible job at establishing that Steve is the main character. I genuinely thought he was just a background extra. Like, you weren't supposed to pay attention to him. Like, that's how bad the movie is, okay? Not only does it not understand Friday the 13th because it makes Jason this, like, evil entity slug that can just infect people, it doesn't know how to tell a story properly. Almost like this movie was directed by a guy who's 24 fucking years old.
It's also like people will make the comparison that because this is the first New Line film, that a lot of it feels more Freddy than Jason. Because Freddy's kind of done some similar things in his own movies.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's any Elm Street blood in here other than that, so it's mostly just coincidence.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really just feels like, well, they finally got Jason, and they're doing not Jason with him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
To the point where, like, since the actual Jason's barely in the movie, the role they had to give Kane Hodder real quick is when one of the guys guarding the coroner room.
Yeah, the guy with the mullet.
Yeah, the guy Pussy. That is Kane Hodder.
That was cool. I like that.
It's kind of funny that, like, Kane Hodder gets to say, yeah, Jason's dead as shit, and then immediately dies from Jason. So in a way, he killed himself.
Yeah, in a way, yeah. But yeah, do we want to talk about the actual scene at Camp Crystal Lake where a bunch of teenagers go to camp there because they're like, hey, Jason's dead. We can camp there now, which I'll give the movie that. Realistically, yeah, there would be people after a serial killer's gone. They could just be like, oh, we can go camping now then. It's like, okay, kind of cool. That makes sense why they're there.
I need to double check, but I think it said that area too wasn't even originally in the movie, that they added it after like a test screening or something.
Oh my god.
So that was literally just put in there
God.
to be like an actual Friday the 13th movie.
Oh my god. Are you fucking serious? Oh my god. Oh, I love this movie. It's so good.
After the first test screening, the audience wanted more of the traditional Friday the 13th campground sex and slash stuff, and so did New Line. I was very against that, and so was Dean, because the only problem I've had with the mythology of Friday the 13th films is this constant thing that anyone who does drugs or has sex should die. That's a very puritanical vision.
It's a movie, you fucking idiot.
But we were given our marching orders, and what we shot is something I'm willing to live with because we tried to twist conventions back around in a more positive way. I wanted to get as many guys naked as women.
Oh my god. Marching orders. Are you high? What are you talking about?
Yeah, that scene only exists because they said, guys, come on, it's Friday the 13th. You need to have at least one of these in here.
You mean to tell me that the one scene with Tony the Wonder Llama was added after the fact?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me explain. There's a scene where a couple is having sex, and the guy just randomly goes, you think you're ready for Tony the Wonder Llama? What the fuck does that even mean, Tony the Wonder Llama?
I think that means his dick.
How hairy is your dick, my guy? What are you talking about?
I'll give them credit. The part where the girl gets split in half, that's great.
Awesome. Yeah, that's one of the best kills in the movie. Again, added after the fact. After the fact.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Oh, we haven't even gotten to the part where Jason, like, finds, so because, Jason can't exist long in a human body because it, like, withers away. Again, didn't stop him the first 8 movies, but whatever. He needs to find different people to fucking possess and kill people. So he finds a random-ass cop, finds him, and this is when I was like, okay, I know for a fact this movie gets everything wrong. Because, first of all, Jason straps down this dude before killing him. And I'm like, Jason does not torture people. Jason goes right for the kill. He does not play around with people. He does not torture them. He goes right for killing somebody. So automatically...
he doesn't do that in the rest of the movie either.
Well, actually, he does, because later on, not to jump ahead, but like during the climax when he's fighting Steve, he's just whacking Steve with this like metal pipe. And it's like, all right, dude, like that's not Jason. Jason would go right for stabbing Steve like right in the chest with the metal pipe. He wouldn't be like hitting him around to like, piss him off. Like he'd go right for the kill is the thing. And it's like, he never does this in any other movie. Jason does not torture people. He does not play around with people. He goes right for the kill.
Part specifically.
I understand why they do it here, because Adam Marcus is a fucking moron and doesn't understand Friday the 13th. Like, I only started watching these movies this year, and it seems I understand more Friday the 13th more than he does.
You watched them within a month.
Yeah. Also, he does the torturing at the Voorhees estate. Remember the fucking mansion that the Voorhees had?
Yeah,
remember
Pamela's fucking mansion?
Yeah, they were rich. There's a fucking house that... Oh, God. It's...
How about the fact that the Voorhees estate also has the fucking Necronomicon in it?
Let's get right to that. Yes.
Implying that they used the Necronomicon for something.
So... this brings our Evil Dead episode full circle from last year. I mean, not only are we probably putting this episode out the same day that we put the Evil Dead episode out, that being Halloween, but like the fact that you brought up the fact that the Necronomicon shows up and Jason goes to hell, and this was a year ago. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I don't really understand the implications of that. You know what I was thinking? I was thinking this was like similar to like when, I don't know, maybe I made this comparison back then. I haven't listened to the episode in a while, but I made the comparison. Oh, the Necronomicon shows up, so it's kind of like when an alien head is in the background of Predator 2. Like it's an Easter egg. It's like, oh, isn't that funny? That means they're like in the same universe now.
No, this is the main character picks it up and flips through it, implying that it has legitimate significance in the plot of it, meaning that it's actually implied that when Pamela brought Jason back to life the first time, she used the Necronomicon Ex Mortis, meaning that Jason has actually been a Deadite this entire time.
Kind of a lot to drop on us. Like, what? Like, where did this come from? Did it come from...
It's because, okay, technically speaking, the whole reason it's actually in the movie is because they were, like, friends of one of the prop guys or something from Evil Dead. But still, the fact that he directly picks it up and calls attention to it.
That's not how you make a reference in a movie.
And also, because I brought the existence of these up, they wanted to make a sequel to Freddy versus... There were ideas for sequels to Freddy versus Jason that didn't get made, but one of them was actually going to be a additional crossover of Evil Dead, and while the movie didn't happen, they did make official comic series for that.
Right.
Which basically confirm what that is.
Right. But again, that's not how you reference something in a movie. Like,
right.
You don't draw attention to it. That is exactly the problem with that fucking clock scene in Pinocchio 2022, where they just like put all the Disney references in the foreground. It's like, no, that's not what you do. References are supposed to be in the background. So you know what? You put the fucking Necronomicon like on a shelf and you don't draw any attention to it. That's the point. Oh my God, Adam, what are you doing?
Now, let's just say Jason's a Deadite for some reason. Also, why do Deadites need a body swap?
Why? That was never established. So then, oh God, there's just so much. What else do I want to talk about?
I mean, if we want to do a positive quick, we can talk about the body melting effect.
The body melting effect is well fucking done. The effects in this movie are very well done, I will admit.
Like they might be some of the best effects in the series, which is unfortunate because it's this movie.
Because it's this movie. Like, yeah, as broken as the story seems, at least the effects like look really cool. Like, yeah, when that one cop who was possessed by Jason is just like melting away because Jason has infected, what was it, Richard Campbell? That's the guy. That's the guy who is the host of the horror show that's like, making a story on Jason. He's also the husband.
Fucking his girlfriend or something.
He's also the husband of the girl who's Jason's niece. Yeah, so not only is there Jason's sister who was never established, but he has a niece and a great niece because the niece had a child. And apparently these are the only people in the universe who can kill Jason. Even though there are 3 movies after this one. But
also, he needs them alive to swap with the bodies, except they don't need them alive.
They're just making this up as they go along.
Which brings up the question of, why didn't Jason just immediately swap with Diana in the beginning of the movie?
Yeah, why was he trying to kill her at that one scene?
I mean, even then, like, if it doesn't need to be alive to do the body swap, then why didn't you just immediately body swap with her after you killed her?
And why are there rules? Like, where are these rules coming from? Why are we learning about this now?
Remember, Hal, you can't feed Jason after midnight. It's a bad thing to
do. You shouldn't do that.
Don't get Jason wet. Wait a minute.
Oh my God.
He's always wet.
He's always wet. Oh no. Oh God, there's just so much. There's so much little things, like the fact that the scene that introduces the fact that Richard Campbell, the fucking dickhead host of the show, is married to Jason's niece. You don't even really know who that is because the movie does a terrible job at like showing him. Like, he just looks like some white guy, but the niece is just like, yeah, you'll never guess who I'm married to, Mom. And I'm like, I actually don't know who that is. Who is that? And it's like, oh, it's the guy from the beginning. Also, he also has like a subplot that goes nowhere where like he wanted to fake out like, so So Diana dies. He he kidnaps her body, puts it in Jason's mansion that exists, and the plan is he's supposed to find it, and that'll make his ratings go up. Am I getting that correct?
Something like that.
Something like that. Why is this established in the exact same scene it's introduced, and then the guy dies? What was
Jason.
the point? Because Jason. And yeah.
At
Now
which
Richard...
point, then, why didn't Jason find the body that was already there?
Why? I guess.
How did Pamela have money?
How did? Yeah. It's really melting my mind. Melting like the melting man in this movie. That I have to like rationalize what happens in this movie. There's the scene where Steven finds everything out in the jail cell with Creighton Duke, and the way Creighton Duke tells him is by breaking his fingers. Why, I don't know. Is that ever explained, like in the book? Like, is there a reason why they broke his fingers, even though the rest of the movie he doesn't treat him like his fingers have been broken?
Oh, with Creighton Duke?
Yeah.
I think it was because it was supposed to be funny.
Oh. Well, I forgot to laugh.
Yeah. It's like, the 90s were a rough time for horror movies before Scream.
They really were.
Like, here's Jason Goes to Hell did not do very well for the rest generally, but it was also the highest grossing horror movie of the year.
1993.
Yeah.
What else came out that year? Oh,
I mean, if you want to cheat and call Jurassic Park a horror movie, sure.
I mean, it has horror elements to it. Yeah. Wow. That's sad.
I just want to read a quote from Sean Cunningham now. For me, it was way past an embarrassment. I didn't know it when we started, but the body morphing plot, it was a dismal idea. It's a complete fool's errand. If you were familiar with the series, you'd say, how can you fuck it up? You can't. Adam came to me and said, the last thing the fans want to see is Jason going through Camp Crystal Lake chopping up teenagers again. Of course, it was the only thing they wanted to see.
Oh my god. I just...
a quote from David Hanman, I don't remember who that is, but a quote from David Hanman, I had fun doing it, but I don't know what it's about. I still couldn't tell you.
I mean, yeah, I still don't know what it's about because the movie does such a terrible job at establishing it. It's almost like it was directed by a 24-year-old.
Also, a fun fact, the ending scene that we saw was also, like, not what they actually wanted to do.
So...
The way that Jason gets pulled into hell, if you want to skip ahead real quick. There was actually like, a different thing they wanted to do that was kind of more similar like Evil Dead, where like a bunch of tree demons or whatever show up and pull him down. It was a lot longer. There was like stop motion stuff involved.
Is Adam Marcus just like a huge Evil Dead fan and just wanted to make an Evil Dead movie?
Maybe.
Like, okay. Like, I understand, dude. You might be a huge fan of Evil Dead. That's fine. But like, actually... relegate that stuff to references in the movie, not in the foreground pretending it's what Friday the 13th is. Like, there's a difference between Friday the 13th and Evil Dead. I don't know if you know that, but there is a huge difference.
You say that, but there's also a huge difference between Friday the 13th, Texas Chainsaw, and Halloween. And yet, for whatever reason, the people that made the new Halloween and Texas Chainsaw movies just try to turn to Friday the 13th.
Are they stupid?
Yes.
Like, well, yeah, I guess that's that, yeah.
Remember what the plot of the new 2022 Texas Chainsaw Massacre was? It was that the
gentrification.
The masked killer's mother was killed while the masked killer saw it happen, so he gets revenge on all the teenagers, and it ends with him jumping out of a lake.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh. Where'd they get the line, try anything and you're canceled, bro? Was that ever in a Friday the 13th movie?
Not yet.
Oh, don't say that.
Just get Adam Marcus to do it, it'll be fine.
Yeah. Oh, he knows everything. Like, oh, before we get to the climax, actually, I just want to mention another reference, that being the Creepshow reference the movie makes.
That I did not catch.
Yeah. So, fun fact, fun in quotations, there's a reference to Creepshow. Now, for those of you who've seen Creepshow, there's that segment called The Crate. That's the one where
the giant monkey demon.
The giant monkey demon.
The guy with his bitch wife.
The guy with his bitch wife. Yeah. So in the crate, there's like a giant monkey demon in there. In this movie, the same exact crate is in the basement of the Voorhees mansion. Now, again, neat detail, but again, it's more than just a detail. The camera actively like pans by it and like focuses in on the crate before panning over to like Jason. No, what was it? It was like Diana's body like on the basement floor. And it's like, okay, again, I mean, it's a little subtler than just having the main character pick up the fucking Necronomicon, but it's like, again, like put it more so in the background. Like, I don't want to read what it says on the crate so then I know it's a Creepshow reference. Like, I should be figuring this shit out like years later, not immediately on my first watch. It's, oh god.
It's like how in the 2005 King Kong, they have one of the crates on the ship in the background is like the Sumatran rat monkey thing from Brain Dead. But that's a subtle reference because it's just there, and not everyone knows what Brain Dead is.
Yeah, exactly. That's something I should look up later, or I should catch on like my second or third viewing of King Kong 2005. But like, not. Oh god, yeah.
The answer is that Peter Jackson knows what he's doing.
Yeah, shocking, amazing, really. Oh.
If we were talking about Elm Street right now, I would have a Peter Jackson connection to make right now, but I don't.
Oh. Not yet, or...
Well, technically, for Jason X, we technically could, because Jason X was shot in, like, 2000, but didn't get released until, like, 2002, because New Line had their hands full with Lord of the Rings.
Oh, well, there you go.
So, Jason X was delayed 2 years because of Peter Jackson. Something like that.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson.
Let Peter Jackson direct Friday the 13th.
He'd do a much better job than Adam Marcus.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's done Splatter before.
Yeah, exactly. So I know he could do it better than Adam Marcus.
Not even just a matter of Peter Jackson's a well-respected, beloved director, just the fact that he's done the genre already.
Yeah, we yeah, but like I said, the climax is so lame because Jason comes back for like 7 minutes, like the Jason we all know and love. Creighton Duke just falls down a trapdoor like a little bitch and doesn't actually do anything cool.
He got stabbed through an artery and probably dies off screen.
He was completely a waste of time. And it's like, you had the coolest motherfucking character handed to you on a silver platter.
We could have had Jason versus Blade.
We really could. Like, honestly, I was so looking forward to Creighton Duke actually being like a really cool character. And they do absolutely nothing with him. I can't even.
They had the chance to just make him like a modern day Van Helsing.
Yeah.
And they didn't.
And they didn't. I can't even imagine like making something like this.
Well, they wanted to have like the cool vines and demon stuff. What they actually end up getting is swampy rock monster hands that look like they're from a Nickelodeon movie.
That was the funniest thing. How they're just like, we're pulling you down to hell because we stabbed you with the Evil Dead sword. Yeah, the Evil Dead sword is also in this. I'm like 90% sure that is the same fucking like dagger from the first Evil Dead movie. Because again, Adam Marcus is just a huge fan of the Evil Dead. Fine, I am too. I'm not going to put Evil Dead props in a fucking Friday the 13th movie and make them like part of the story. Oh, God.
Yeah, that'd be like if they put the Freddy Krueger claw in this movie and with story implications.
Funny you say that.
So anyway, this has the first Marvel end credit scene.
It really does, which honestly doesn't piss me off as much as the other things because it's like a fun teaser at the end of the movie. Like, oh, we're gonna do this now.
It's the movie they actually wanted to make.
Yeah, exactly.
It's also like the one part people actually liked from the movie when they first saw it.
Yeah, the last 5 seconds is the one part you like about the movie.
It's one part everyone likes about the movie. Because, like, even here, there's the quote. Da, 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 da. Oh, yeah, I stepped ahead to the Freddy vs. Jason section. Quote from Adam Marcus, director of Jason Goes to Hell.
Yeah.
Back when we were making Jason Goes to Hell, Dean Lorre, Noah Cunningham, and I were trying to come up with more gags to put in the movie. And then I said, doesn't New Line own Freddy outright? And the wheels started turning. I called Mark Ordesky and Michael DeLuca at New Line and asked, can we have the claw? And it was very funny because they were a bit covetous of it. They asked nervously, what are you going to do with it? And why? And we told them our idea, and they flipped. I remember the first test screening after we finished the film. When that moment hit, when Freddy's claw lunged out of the ground at Jason's mask, the entire test audience got up on their feet, and cheered.
It is a cool moment. I will give the movie that.
It's the best scene in the movie, and it's
the
just
best
there to
scene in the
set up
movie.
a different movie.
That wouldn't come out for another 10 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
We'll talk about all that.
We'll get to it. But, I mean, is there anything else we have to say about this movie? I mean, unless we want to bring up Rusty Schwimmer.
Yeah, I guess Rusty Schwimmer.
So, I don't know. When I was looking at the cast list and I see there's an actress named Rusty Schwimmer, I was like, oh my God, that is an amazing name. I've literally never seen a movie with her in it. I mean, unless I have before Jason Goes to Hell. I actually don't remember. I don't
think we would have.
I don't know. But I don't know. Just seeing Rusty Schwimmer is just one of the funny. It's just such a funny ass name. And she has one of the most confusing deaths I've ever seen in a movie. Oh, she was in the first Candyman and Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. Look at that. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make, she has one of the most confusing deaths in the movie. Do you even remember what happens?
Barely.
So, what is it? Jason as Richard Campbell is like, so he takes Leslie Jordan, who's her husband. Leslie Jordan he was on Will and Grace. He's a very funny actor. He takes Leslie Jordan, starts deep frying his head, and Joey, Rusty Schwimmer, comes up behind Richard Campbell and starts just attacking him, hitting him with something. And Jason / Richard elbows her in the mouth. Her mouth puckers inward like a cartoon, and she falls over. At least I think that's what happens. Because, again, the movie is shot and edited so terribly. I have no idea how she actually died. But, I think that was the implication that, she gets elbowed in the mouth and it puckers inward like she's fucking Tom from Tom and Jerry. But, the movie's lit so poorly that, you can barely tell. I rewinded, 3 times to see, how exactly she died. And I still don't exactly know what happened.
What a movie.
Oh my God. It is so pathetically funny. I kind of love this movie because of how broken it is. It is easily the worst movie we've seen in this franchise. And as I'll go over with, I'll have problems with the next 3, and I've had problems before with these movies, but this one is easily the worst because even from a storytelling perspective, it gets things wrong. At least with the other movies, they had some sort of basic understanding on how to establish characters and their relationships with each other. This movie couldn't even do that. That's how bad it is. It goes beyond failing as a Friday the 13th movie. It just fails at a straight up being a movie. That's how bad it is.
And it's compared to the Elm Street movie that was being made at the same time, that was also going a different direction, Wes Craven's New Nightmare. That's generally regarded as one of the better movies in that series. So it's you have the both of these coming out around that time, setting up for Freddy vs. Jason. Well, not really for that one, but getting in the way of it. That's the one that it didn't make a whole lot of money, but it's generally regarded as one of the better movies of the franchise in retrospect. And then you have this one. Oof.
Yeah, no. See, you can do things differently with movies in franchises. It's just, you can also do them horribly, horribly wrong. And that's this movie. It does things wrong.
To point out, some fans complained that we tried to explain too much in Jason Goes to Hell, that there shouldn't have been so much of the mythology. I think that's a mistake. Here's the problem. Giving Jason a backstory isn't a bad idea. It's just that the backstory you gave him sucks. And he compares it to, the scene in Jaws of Quint, where he's talking about the USS Indianapolis, and it's okay, cool. but that stuff's good and
That
adds to
stuff's
his character.
good. Oh my
This
god.
is contradicting other movies.
Oh my god. He really brought up the Quint scene in Jaws. That is, you do not bring up the Quint scene in Jaws when trying to defend Jason Goes to Hell. That scene is way fucking better from every angle you look at it than your entire fucking filmography, you piece of shit. Like, you do not compare yourself to the fucking Quint scene from Jaws. You do.
It's like it says, I think Norman Bates isn't frightening if Norman Bates doesn't have a mommy problem. And Michael Myers was a kid when he murdered his sister. That's important to know, you know? Yes.
Yes.
But those are good backstories.
Those are good backstories.
Jason being a body-swapping worm isn't a good backstory.
I can't even. Oh my god.
I should remind the audience, this was the one movie that I had actually been putting off watching until now. I've seen all the other ones at least once. This was the first time I watched it, because I knew going into that, oh boy. Because I knew things about the movie already. I knew about the Freddy Claw ending. I knew about Jason being a worm. I knew about the Necronomicon, because I watched clips, I've seen reviews before. But actually watching it, it's like, wow. This is also just kind of boring.
Oh, God bless this fucking messy fucking movie.
All right, favorite weird moment and favorite kill, if there's even any.
Okay. I mean, okay, so favorite kill. I'm torn between the girl in the tent getting sliced and Rusty Schwimmer Joey's death, purely because if it is that her face is getting like punctured in, like puckered in like a cartoon, like a Looney Tunes cartoon, then that's my favorite, because my god, that is hilarious. So I'm kind of torn between those two. In terms of favorite weird moment, Tony the Wonder Llama, honestly. Like that line has not left my mind all week.
My favorite kill is Jason blowing up in the beginning.
That's good. That's good.
And my favorite weird moment is the coroner eating the heart, because it's so fucking stupid.
It really is. Yeah, because, well, that's the other thing, is like, the movie makes it apparent to be like, oh, the way we destroy Jason is you have to destroy his heart. Isn't that what the coroner was doing at the beginning? But that's how he got possessed? He ate the heart. Did you read the script you wrote? Oh, God, I can't. Oh, is there anything else we have to say? Because I'm really losing my brain cells trying to rationalize this movie, William.
We talked about this movie for almost an hour. I think this is the longest we talked about one individual movie in the series so far.
That just shows you how bad it is. The fact that I have not been a Friday the 13th fan in the first 25 years of my life until this month, this October, and this is how mad I am watching this movie, because that's how bad it is.
All right, coroner's report time.
Coroner's report time. Just go into it, please.
Okay. Oh, buddy. Oh, boy. All right, what do we got here? How did this one do a Reno? Jason Goes Hell, The Final Friday, which we didn't even talk about. That's the subtitle, The Final Friday, even though they knew damn well it wouldn't be.
I just, you know.
Production budget, $3 million.
Okay.
Shooting location, Thousand Oaks, California.
Mm-hmm.
August 14th, 1993. Taglines: The creator of the first returns to bring you the last. Evil
False.
Finally found a home. False. Horror has many faces. Death wears many different masks, but pure evil wears just one. And this is your final chance to see it. They were almost true until the end.
Like what?
So yeah, $3 million production budget. Box office, $15,933,068.
Okay, not terrible.
Opening weekend was $7,552,190. It ranked 2.
Oh, and why is that?
What did it open against? Let's check what it opened against.
Yeah, I'm curious to know what it opened against.
Let me see. Movies in August 93. When my computer will let me.
Yeah.
August 13, 1993, movies. It's a good thing we had the power of editing for this.
Yeah.
Weekend Box office chart for August 14th, 1993. The numbers. The Fugitive was number 1 that weekend.
Okay, that makes sense. Harrison Ford and whatnot.
Yeah. Which I think that was already out because it says -6%. So, that was already in, its second weekend.
Oh.
The Fugitive was number 1 2 weekends in a row. So that's an oof. Jurassic Park was also still in theaters at this time, number 7.
Okay.
And that was its 10th weekend. Free Willy was also in theaters at this time.
Wow. All the best stuff in 93.
God, you're never going to guess what number 10 was that weekend.
I can't even. Just tell me.
Robin Hood Men in Tights. And right underneath that was Hocus Pocus.
Why
was that in August?
Why was that in August?
Oh my God. There was a re-release of Snow White that weekend.
So you're telling me that Disney has been for years doing this where they'll release a movie that should have obviously released in October, but releasing it in the summer?
That was Hocus Pocus's 5th weekend.
Oh, it's even worse. I
like how apparently Snow White was in theaters that weekend somehow.
This is the second time that Snow White and Friday the 13th have crossed streams, apparently.
And I like how the fact, because obviously Snow White wasn't in consistent release, but it marks it as the 2,904th weekend for Snow White.
That's funny.
Not accurate, but still.
No, that's funny. I'm glad they did that.
You're gonna love the number 15 was Howard's End.
I don't know what Howard's End.
Well, we saw Howard's End. It's not Howard Harold. Never mind.
Harold's
I keep forgetting Harold's name.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, how could you forget Harold?
How could I forget Harold? Because there's Howards and there's Harolds in this world.
Yeah, there's also Jason X's.
Which that's a different beast entirely.
You want to get into it now?
Okay, Jason X, also known as the movie that they made because Freddy vs. Jason was taking too long. No, seriously, that's it. That's the reason.
No, I completely buy it. And you know what? So, here, let's get into it. Jason X. Here's another Friday the 13th movie that does something completely out of the ordinary in terms of Friday the 13th. When you think Friday the 13th, what's the first thing that comes to mind, William?
Hockey mask.
Hockey mask. Right, exactly.
Which they do have here.
Much
more than the last movie.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you think of Camp Crystal Lake.
Now, William, do you also think of In Space when you think of Friday the 13th?
No, but it'd be badass if they did it correctly.
Yeah. So here's the thing. So Jason X, I will admit, is, one, it's better than Jason Goes to Hell. I'm just going to say that right now because, one, Jason Goes to Hell is fucking abysmal. But, at least here's an example of a movie that does something so weird and out there in terms of Friday the 13th and actually sort of semi-succeeds with it. I say that in major quotations because I'll be honest, Jason X is not as fun as it could be.
Yeah, that's the whole problem that I want to like the movie more than I actually do because Jason in Space just sounds hilarious.
Jason in Space does sound hilarious.
And it has moments.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's only moments.
Right, exactly. I'll give the movie this. It advertises Jason in Space. It gives us Jason in Space.
Yeah.
So automatically it's better than Takes Manhattan, unfortunately for me. But, but even then, I will admit it's not as fun as it probably could be because it's kind of boring at times.
They set it up so well because that first kill is glorious, and it makes you think we're gonna get so much more like that, and then it's mostly just a lot of machete.
Yeah.
To the point where you could also just replace Jason with a xenomorph, and it wouldn't make a difference.
This was very Alien-ish. Now that you mention that, I think that's a very apt way of describing it. Yeah, because it's Alien if it was on the set of a Disney Channel movie.
It's more self-aware than an Alien movie, because this one isn't taking itself very seriously.
In
fact, I don't like. It wasn't edited as well as I thought it was based on how people talk about that moment. But the thing that gets Jason to wake up is that two people start having sex.
Yeah.
That is literally what is happening. Like, that's the joke.
That's the joke.
That's not even an observation that people make. No, that's literally the people behind the movie saying, no, that's the joke.
Yeah, my sex senses are tingling. Like, okay. Well, first, let's start things off by saying that, again, this is another Shout Factory Blu-ray that starts off with an introduction, not from the director, but from Kane Hodder himself, Jason. And this one's, this is going to sound very shocking, this one's even weirder than the last intro we got with Jason Goes to Hell. So, in this one, Kane Hodder is just like, thank you for watching Jason X. It's a pretty fun movie. Now enjoy the film, or I'll kill you. And I'm like, what? Yeah, and then he goes up to the camera and starts choking it out for like a couple seconds, and then like throws the camera on the floor, and he's like, now stay down. Yeah, now lie there. Yeah, that's what he says. Now lie there.
Thank you, Kane. Very cool.
I'm just like, what? Okay. Sure. Why not?
This is the last movie where Kane has Jason.
So, yeah, I kind of get that. They would have him like introduce this one, but even still, it was the way they executed it was just really out there for me. I'm like, what the actual? So anyway,
funny.
The movie starts and Jason is no longer in hell. Apparently, whatever.
You just headcanon say this takes place after Freddy versus.
Yeah, sure. I'm fine with that. And he's like in the Crystal Lake Research Facility.
Sure.
Because that's a thing. Okay. And then David Cronenberg approaches. Yeah, David Cronenberg is in this movie for a couple of seconds. He's like a doctor who wants to cryogenically freeze Jason. So then he doesn't kill people anymore. Like they've tried everything. They've tried every way of trying to kill him, and he will not die. And so they think, all right, just cryogenically freeze him, and that'll be that. But then womp womp, he escapes. And so then Lady, who apparently is the Jason expert of this movie, again, never explained who this lady is, but she's now the main character technically because she's the Jason expert.
Well, she's only the Jason expert on the grounds that she's from the same time period as him, whereas everyone else is from 400 years in the future and has no idea what the hell Jason is.
Except for that one guy in the video call is just like, you have Jason Voorhees, he's worth a fortune. It's like, how do you know who he is? Oh, it's never explained.
I guess because he read a book somewhere that would mention him.
Yeah, but the professor who didn't.
I can buy it more in this movie than in Jason Goes to Hell.
Sure. Well, see, the thing in Jason Goes to Hell is like all of a sudden everybody knows who Jason is. Whereas in this one, yeah, at least in this one, nobody really knows who Jason is, except for some people. But that's just because it's been years since he's been relevant. Like, it's literally in the year like 4255 or some shit like that.
Something like that.
Real far off future that we will never live to see, like, realistically.
So I can buy that, like, oh, she's only the Jason expert because she was actually from the time and no one else knows anything about him. That makes more sense, at least because of that. Whereas, Crane 2, how do you know anything?
Right, no, exactly. Again, this movie is back to not getting everything right, but it's getting some basic things right, because it's almost like the director knows how to direct a movie, right?
Okay, let's establish this. Mission statement of Jason Goes to Hell was to do something completely different with the series.
Sure.
Questionable, but that was the point. The mission statement of Jason X was, fuck it.
Yeah, I totally get that. I totally get that from this movie.
There's a robot lady who wants to get tits because everyone else has tits, and then she goes karate chop fight Jason.
Oh, dude, we're getting ahead of ourselves. That's like the best part of the movie. So Jason is like killing all these people, and then he's cryogenically frozen, but it doesn't go well because he like stabs his machete through this thick metal door, and it almost kills lady who knows about Jason.
It cryo freezes the whole room.
It cryo freezes the whole room. Then she's there. They're like trapped for 4 centuries. They're then discovered by a professor and his students on like a field trip of sorts.
To the first Earth, because now there's a second Earth, because we fucked up and ruined the first Earth because we're terrible human beings.
Which we never see second Earth.
Well, we see at the very end.
Oh, that's what that is. Right.
We see a campground. Oopsie doodle.
Yeah, oopsie doodle. I really got to bring this up. Hockey is banned in 2024 in this universe.
That line is so funny just because of the timing of it.
Yeah,
that we're watching this in 2023.
Guys, we have only a couple more months before hockey's banned.
Hockey will be banned in 2024.
Enjoy it while you can. Go Bruins.
I can't believe Gritty would do such a thing.
Oh, okay. So Jason and past lady are now in the future. Okay, sure.
To some people, it's the present.
To some people, it's the present. I actually really like the first technical like slicing Jason does when he gets out of cryogenics. When he gets out of he doesn't even do anything. He just
my man isn't even awake yet, and he's already back to business.
Exactly. He slices a dude's arm off, and the dude is just like, "What the fuck?" And like all of them are just like, "Dude, it's okay. We'll just give you we'll just grow a new arm because again, the future, you can grow a new arm now." It's like, okay, that's kind of cool. Like, I like how that establishes that we're in the future, and it shows like, oh, you know, the kills in this movie need to be really extreme if they want to they really want Jason to like fuck these guys up.
And the first actual kill is just like that.
Yeah, so let's talk about the first kill. I mean, this is skipping ahead a little, but like again, between when Jason is discovered and when he actually starts doing shit, it's like 20 minutes of nothing. Like it's like skipping the first 20 minutes of fucking Shark Side of the Moon. You're not missing anything. Like honestly. We should know from experience. So the first kill is Blonde Lady, where Jason takes her, shoves her head into a vat
of liquid nitrogen,
and then pulls it out and smashes it on the table.
Like he cryo freezes her face in seconds and just smash.
Oh yeah, amazing! Like great kill.
It's exactly what you want in a movie like this.
Yeah,
and it sets up expectations that the rest of the movie then doesn't deliver because most of it's just Jason with the machete again.
Yeah, which can be fun sometimes, but then other times you're just like,
it needs to be like it needs to be one or two kills. This is over half of them.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it gives us a really good line of dialogue later on. Guys, it's okay. He just wanted his machete back.
Yeah. That's a good line. Again, like the middle of this movie starts to lull a little because we get this subplot where like the professor,
the middle of a Friday the 13th movie starts to lull. No, never.
So the professor guy is like this huge asshole who like really realistically just wants to keep Jason around for money because this dude he has a video conference with is just like, a box of DVDs is not a gold mine for me. And I'm like, what? For me it is. Box of DVDs, I'll take that for the podcast.
You put Adam Sandler movies in the museum in the future. Look at these priceless relics from the 21st century.
Yeah, Jack and Jill on DVD.
You just you go to like this big display case that's like heavily guarded and everything, and just in the center of it is a copy of Freddy Got Fingered in full screen.
Amazing. That's the future I want. But anyway, he just wants to keep Jason around for money. But again, much like any other subplot that goes on in these movies, it goes absolutely nowhere because that dude dies like
halfway
through, which I'm glad because that dude was a total asshole, and I was far more interested in like lady who knows about Jason and Lieutenant what's his face, the bald guy who looks like Tony Todd, but it's not Tony Todd. Yeah,
there's a BFG in this movie, right?
He does name drop BFG at some point.
The gun from Doom.
Yeah. Again, it's a reference, but the movie doesn't call that much attention to it, unlike the Necronomicon and Jason Goes to Hell.
I just realized because of who our fan base is, we actually have to establish what a BFG is, because some people are probably thinking of the fucking giant dude.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and for some reason they're not thinking of the gun from Doom like they should be.
No, yeah, they should be. Yeah, the BFG.
The big fucking gun.
From Doom. I've never played a Doom in my life, but even I know what that is.
Yeah, well, you'd think people would know that information. You'd think people would know Jason's not the killer in the first movie by now, but apparently they don't somehow.
No, they don't. They're not very smart.
Guy just turns off the podcast right now.
Yeah. Bye-bye. Stop. No, come back. Okay, here's a really cool kill, actually. It's when the Space Marines... Yes, because there's Space Marines in this movie.
Because it makes sense for them to be space.
Again, I wish they were the main characters and not these fucking high school students, but whatever. I get it. Teenagers in a Friday the 13th movie. I get it. But anyway, it's when these Space Marines are like trying to find Jason, and one of them gets like stabbed through in the drill and he starts like twisting around. Like that was really fun. And then like the other Space Marines find him and they're just
He's screwed.
He's screwed. I love that. I'll allow that. That's a nice pun. Like you guys set that up.
How is he? He's screwed.
Yeah.
Like the delivery of it is like so half-hearted, but come on.
Yeah, no, it's great. I love that. Even when Brodsky, that's the sergeant. He's just like, it's going to take more than a poke in the ribs to take down this old dog. And then he pokes him, stabs him again. He's like, yep, that'll do it. And that's not even his death scene. That's how badass that character is. And I wish he was the main fucking guy we
because he's also the one that, spoiler, technically beats Jason in the end, right?
Exactly.
He grabs Jason, like flings him into the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Sacrificing himself.
Yeah.
Fucking Iron Giants that shit.
This is what Creighton Duke should have been. This character, Sergeant Brodsky. Like, this is the guy, okay? He does everything right to be this badass dude taking on Jason. He does everything Creighton Duke could have been. The virgin Creighton Duke versus the Chad Sergeant Brodsky.
But yeah, like, a lot of the kills, though, just after that are just kind of machete. Like, there's some decent setups, like the two guys playing the video game. That's cool. Kind of cool. That's kind of a fun gag. He just kills both of them pretty basic ways, unfortunately.
Yeah, at first it's kind of cool because he, like, slices through the dude and he's like, oh, he, like, slices that one dude's head off and it's still a simulation. Like, it's not really explained very well why he's in the simulation, like, and why he can do that, but
don't worry about it.
Future technology, I get it.
Because if I was playing the game, I would be a Jason main.
Yeah, you would. Oh god, what else is there to talk about? Because I don't want to go right into the KM stuff, but I really just don't remember that much happening in this movie is the thing. Like
the sets are well done. It looks like a space station.
It looks like a space station. Yeah, I'll give it that.
They do all that correctly.
Yeah. It's lit like a Disney Channel movie, like I said, but like, I kind of like that. It's different. I'll give it that.
The movie shows the decade it was made in.
Oh, yes. 2001.
It looks like a movie from that era. I showed you the trailer for this movie. Guess what song they play in the trailer for the movie? Completely unironically.
I actually don't remember the song playing.
Bodies by Drowning Pool.
Oh, yeah, that's the one.
Completely unironically.
Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. Yeah. Oh, God. Why can't the movie be that funny? Like, that's the thing. It's like, there's so many boring scenes to get through to get to the fun stuff. I won't say it's like the most boring stuff. Like, again, there is some fun to be had with this movie. I will unironically like agree to that. Like, there's a lot of really good stuff.
Yeah. To skip ahead to KM and fucking Uber Jason.
Yeah. So they what's his name? His like
the nerd
upgrades
dude.
The nerd dude upgrades his sex bot KM to be like this badass, and I like at first how like he like stabs her, like Jason stabs her, and she's like, "Oh no, I'm down for the count, sucker, just kidding," and she starts like shooting at him. It's like, yeah, that's really cool.
And she actually does defeat him. Like, she blows his fucking head off.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's really fucking cool.
And
Now,
then nanobots show up.
just cuz.
And then Jason comes back as a cyborg called Uber Jason.
I like the idea that his mask is like infused into his face. It's better than the mask infusing in Jason Goes to Hell.
It's a cool design.
Yeah, it is a really cool design. It's stupid as fuck, but that's what makes it cool. Like, it's really, really, like, it is balls to the wall. Like, that's the kind of shit I want in a movie like this. And we get the great line of, I think it's when Jason does something. He, like, apparently, like, he, like, oh, it's when they suck him out, and then he's, like, trying to break back in, and, like, the fucking, spaceship is like all the air, all the oxygen is being like sucked out, and like what's her face is just like, oh, this sucks on so many levels. Like,
how I just found out some unfortunate information. Although the character of KM14 was integral to the action of Jason X, one of the character's biggest sequences was ultimately cut from the finished film. We shot this great set piece in a house of mirrors. I'm walking around with my big gun, and Jason keeps appearing, and I'm blasting away at all the mirrors.
yeah.
Why wasn't that in the movie?
Good lord. They had to make a part of the movie where Jason goes into another simulation, and they have the teenage characters go, "We love premarital sex."
I mean, that was funny, and we get to
That
see
was
him
funny.
do the sleeping bag kill again.
Yeah, he got to actually go with the sleeping bag kill in
He's
all
done-
its glory.
He's done with the campers. Damn, he's good.
Yeah. Damn, he's good. Yeah. And then, that's how they defeat Jason, is that Sergeant Brodsky, like, just pushes him out into the out into space.
After they get in the shell and go, he blows up the space station.
Yeah.
And then
they fall down
grapples
to
him
Earth
and
2,
flings
and
him
they
into
burn
the
up in
Earth's
the
atmosphere.
Yeah. And
In theory.
I do like the ending, how, like, it's like a shooting star you see, and like these people at a campsite are just like, hey, look, a shooting star.
It landed
hey,
in
look,
the lake. Let's check it
landed.
out.
Let's check it out. It's like, oh, Jason X2, which would be Jason 11, except Jason 11 was Freddy versus Jason, so we never got to see what Jason does in the future, but we can
I
only
don't
assume.
think they intended there to actually be a sequel to this. I think that's just like one of those, and the adventure continues kind of things.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm happy with that. Like, we rarely ever see that actually follow through, where like people are just like, oh, we'll just assume he just fucks shit up. We don't need to actually see him fuck shit up.
At this point that Jason just does what he wants to.
Exactly, and especially now that he's Uber Jason.
Yeah. It's funny because they actually apparently made like a comic to tie into it where Jason or Uber Jason fights regular Jason. Damn, I wonder which one's gonna win.
Yeah.
Spoiler, the one called Uber won.
Yeah.
Damn, I wonder.
Damn, I'm so stupid. I could never have figured that out.
I think there was also a comic in the 90s where Jason met Leatherface and they became friends.
That's funny. But yeah, Jason X, man. When it's like Jason actually killing somebody, like when it's KM battling Jason, that's when the movie shines.
Yeah, it's not as fun as it should have been with the premise.
Right, because there's so many other scenes than just Jason killing someone or Jason battling KM. Like, it does admittedly get better as the movie goes along. Once the professor character gets killed off and like Sergeant Brodsky is kind of the guy in charge, that's when the movie's great. Like, that's when again, it starts off kind of slow, but it starts getting better and better as it progresses, is the thing. It never gets to like the same level as like the other movies when they're ironically funny, but like, I can't really say this movie like gets as bad as some of the awful shit I've seen, like it at this point, what to expect, even though it is in space, Yeah,
it's like, what you're getting into from the name Jason X, with the premise of Jason in space.
Exactly. I honestly did not think it was as bad as I was expecting. Because, like, I've often heard, like, this is one that people really fucking hate. But, like, I had fun with it. Like, I can't say it's my favorite, but I did have fun with it.
I hear both camps of this is either bad, or it's funny bad.
Right, exactly. Yeah. No, I lean more into the funny bad camp. I'm not
Which is
like
which is what the goal was to begin with.
right, exactly. I'm not entirely diehard funny bad, but it's enough. I'll give
It
it
has
that.
its moments. I just wish there were more of those.
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
I guess we go now into the stats.
Yeah, unless you have like a favorite kill or a favorite crazy moment.
Favorite kill, the liquid nitrogen, obviously.
Liquid nitrogen, yep.
Favorite weird moment. I guess when KM wants to get tits just cuz.
Yeah, I would say maybe even like KM just battling Jason is pretty funny.
There's not much. It's Jason in space. The whole movie is a weird moment when you think about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Friday the 13th, the series. Production company, Triumph Entertainment Corp. Air date, number 72 episodes from September 1987 to April 1990.
3 seasons?
Yeah. Yeah. Jason X, production budget, $14 million. Shooting location, Toronto, Canada.
Wait a minute, 14 million? So this is the most expensive one yet, right?
Yes. Spoiler: Freddy versus Jason is going to be the most expensive one, but this was the most expensive one yet.
14 million.
Now, mind you, 2000s money versus 1980s money.
Right. Yeah.
But U.S. release date, April 26, 2002.
Okay.
Taglines: Evil gets an upgrade. Welcome to the future of horror.
Yeah, nice.
Box office, 16,951,798.
Whoa. Okay.
You're seeing the diminishing returns by this point hard.
Wow. Oh, wow. That's bad.
Rank free opening weekend.
No, what did it go up against?
I have it up here already. It was rank free. It lost to number 2 was Changing Lanes, which I don't know what that is, but it was by Paramount.
Okay.
And that was in its third weekend.
Oh.
Number 1, The Scorpion King. In its second weekend.
Jason.
Ice Age was in its 7th weekend, and that was number 6.
Oh, Jason, you've been replaced by Manny the Mammoth. Oh no.
Damn.
Dwayne Johnson Scorpion King spinoff did better than you? Wow.
In its second weekend.
That is almost, but not entirely, Black Cauldron embarrassing.
I flipped. It gets worse because I flipped ahead to the next weekend.
Oh, okay.
You want to know what movie came out that next weekend?
I need to know.
Spider-Man.
Oh, it's entirely. Oh, it's so Jover. It's so Jover.
Yeah, Jason went down to number 9.
Oh no, 9?
Yeah, it dropped to 9.
Oh, we are so Jover.
Spider-Man's out. It's over.
Oh my god, that's insanity.
That is setting it up to die.
Oh, you never stood a chance, Jason X. I feel bad now. Wow.
Yikes. God, that might be worse than Streets of Fire releasing in between Star Trek, Ghostbusters, Gremlins, and Indiana Jones.
They never stood a chance. That's also like UHF bad. We're releasing the summer of 1989 up against literally everything else that summer had to offer.
Yeah, like 89 and 84, those were hell of a year. What the fuck was 2002 doing?
Yeah,
it's Spider-Man and that was it.
But you still dropping to number 9 against Spider-Man.
Yikes.
That's rough. You know what? Still, I'm glad I saw Jason X though, because I mean, it's no Spider-Man, but like, there is fun to be had. So I would still recommend it. Like, I still think it's a fun movie, even though it's not quite as fun as it could be. But man, wow, I feel bad now. Jeez.
Yeesh. Like, okay, Spider-Man, obviously you're gonna lose to that, but damn,
Yeah.
the Scorpion King. The Scorpion King.
And this was before Dwayne Johnson was, the Dwayne Johnson we know now. Like,
Yeah, this is when he was still just a wrestler.
oh my God. Wow.
So, yeah, I guess we can now go ahead to the movie they actually wanted to make.
Yeah, this is the one we've been building up to. The ultimate crossover event. William, take it away.
Yeah, because this is the climactic moment for both the Friday the 13th franchise and the Elm Street franchise. This is a movie they've been trying to make for 10 years. And you hear it like, yeah, that sounds so simple. How did it take so long to make? Well, spoiler, there's an entire book of just Freddy versus Jason you can get, going over all of it.
Nice.
I don't think they cover that version in this, but I have a different book called Untold Horror that talks about a lot of unmade horror movies that were just like in production hell or just didn't get made. And it spotlights one specific version of the movie, and it shows this awesome image of a Freddy and Jason fusion.
Oh, dude.
There's like one version of the movie that was going to end with them going to hell and meeting Pinhead from Hellraiser.
Okay.
That didn't happen because of the obvious reason of they don't own Pinhead.
Right, exactly.
But it's like there are so many fucking weird versions of the movie, and it's like, how could it... And like the issue they had stems from the fact that, wait a minute, both of these guys are villains. And then they realized, well, they can't be the main characters then. Fuck. So that's what gave them the trouble, and like there were just so many weird versions. Like the big version they were trying to make for the longest time dealt with like this cult called the Fredheads, who were trying to bring Freddy back. So the good guys are trying to bring Jason back specifically to fight Freddy. And it's like there was just so many weird things. There was one version of the movie where Jason had a defense attorney and went on trial. It sounds like I'm making this shit up. I'm not.
I 100% believe you.
Like, I think in one of the documentaries, they even show an image of Jason standing in, like, the confession booth or whatever at, like, on a trial. But it's like,
incredible.
What the hell, guys?
Wow.
So the actual plot they went with, like probably the simplest thing they could have done.
Mm-hmm.
Still a little convoluted, but, like, the simplest they could have done.
Well, so, yeah.
I think we should preface this though, just overall, that one thing with the movie is that because of the fact that Jason can't talk, Freddy kind of is the one that gets more spotlight generally. And overall, this is less a 50-50 Friday and Elm Street and more of like a, I would argue 70-30 Elm Street Friday.
I think that's fair to say. So, yeah, let's establish this by saying I have only ever seen one Nightmare on Elm Street movie, and this was years ago, and it was the first one. And I remember liking it, but I don't really remember much about it. Like, I'm watching Freddy vs. Jason with the context of every Friday the 13th movie that led up to it. So,
and basically none of the Elm Streets, which I want to get your
none of
reaction.
the Elm Streets.
I want to get your reaction now when you get that opening narration by Freddy and you see like the clips of the different kills from Elm Street. What was your reaction to those after being all the Friday stuff?
I'm pissed off that I haven't watched these movies yet. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, what the fuck? This looks awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so awesome. I went out and bought the Nightmare on Elm Street collection, but not yet, Minion. Not yet.
Like, you saw the scene from the second movie where Freddy bursts out of his chest. You see the scene in the third movie with the whole puppet string veins.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it looks incredible.
Yeah. And you can also probably see why in the second half of the 80s, Freddy became more popular.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, no, you're right. This is absolutely more of a Elm Street movie than it is a Friday movie. But yet they still included it in the Friday collection.
Because you have to.
Because you have to. Now, with that said, the Friday inclusions they have with it are kind of welcome. Like, honestly, I think it does a pretty good job at establishing Jason just fine.
Yeah.
Um,
It
that, that's
doesn't. It doesn't rewrite his backstory like the other one did.
No, it no, it certainly does not. It completely throws Jason Goes to Hell into the trash, as it should. But that's the thing. This movie, when it's purely on either Freddy or Jason, or they're battling each other or whatnot, that's when the movie shines. That's when I'm like, all right, this kicks ass. I can see why people wanted to see this for so long.
And then you get to the rest of the movie, and it's like I mentioned, that's more of an Elm Street than a Friday. Unfortunately, that means it's an Elm Street plot, but the cast is about as good as a Friday.
Yeah.
That's where the problems going to come in. And
yeah.
this is the most 2000 free movie you
Oh,
will ever
dude.
watch.
Dude, the fucking soundtrack, mwah, chef's kiss.
I love the little El Nino song in the end credits.
Oh, dude, I was like, thank God this came out when it did, because that was when you could do something like that, because
one of the main characters is Kelly Rowland from Destiny's Child.
Just cuz.
Like, oh, we have Beyonce's bestie in this movie.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about another cast member?
Which one?
Oh, you know which one.
Right. Laurie's dad?
The one whose filmography never ends.
Yeah. Hal told me this when he was watching the movie after I already finished. The actor who plays Laurie's dad is fucking the Olive Garden guy from Sonic 1 and 2.
Yeah. Because like I'm like watching the movie, I see his face, I go to the cast list and I go, Olive Garden guy?
I didn't catch that until you brought it up, but that's just so funny that we got to see Olive Garden guy try to stab his wife.
Yeah. It was so funny. I was just like, my God, what are you doing here, actor who's in movies? Oh, the other Sonic connection, Gary Chalk plays the sheriff, and he's also in the first Sonic movie.
Which role was he?
He was some like general, like in that scene where they're just like,
okay,
gentlemen, we gotta call Dr. Eggman to go check out that disturbance in the Northwest, and they're like, not Dr. Eggman. Like, yeah, he was one of the generals.
Okay.
Yeah, I forget which one, but yeah, he was in the first Sonic movie.
Great.
Oh, Canadian actors, man, they're everywhere.
If we want to go back to production real quick, when
sure.
the guy, apparently, because like one of the issues with the movie is like that and the incredible dialogue. Fun fact: when they first wrote the script for the movie, it ended up being like 130 pages, which roughly in a script, 1 page is 1 minute as a rule of thumb. So this was over 2 hours, was almost 2.5 hours when they first wrote it.
Ew.
And then they said, let's not do that. So they had the guy who wrote Blade come in and redo it to make it an hour and a half. So like all the key scenes still happen. It just happens much faster, which means the dialogue has to be changed.
Yeah.
So we have the guy who wrote Blade to thank for some of the incredible dialogue in the movie.
Oh, please give some examples.
I forget.
Well, I mean, honestly, that should be pretty telling.
The only line that I can really remember is like apparently was also something that was mostly just apparently that whole confrontation between Kia and Freddy towards the end, that was apparently like written at the very last second, not even by the actual writers, or was like improv or something. So that's why that's just so out of nowhere. Apparently, like that dark meat line was just Robert Englund riffing.
Wow.
And it's like, because Kia went up, Kelly Rowland said, I want to have like a moment where I'm like yelling at Freddy and like staring him down. Okay. And then had some other guy write it for them. So no one likes the fact that she says that word.
Right. Yeah.
Obviously. Again, This is the most 2000 free movie ever.
Yeah.
This is so much edgier than any of the other movies.
Oh, very much so.
But the good part about that though is that it's also the bloodiest in the series.
Yeah, no, you made it a point to point that out. Like, yeah, this is absolutely the bloodiest of any of the movies beforehand. And that's
Good.
because it's R, it's rated R, but in 2003 terms, not in 1980s, which is
So they're actually allowed to do what they want to do.
exactly. Yeah.
It gets brutal and bloody, and it's great.
Dude, so much so. I love the fucking violence in this movie. Like, one of the first kills that Jason does is he just like completely fucking stabs the shit out of a dude in a bed and then folds the mattress.
In half.
Yeah, that was great. That was awesome. And then you have like
the scene where like the one guy, after he wakes up from the Freddy nightmare, his dad's head just falls off into his lap.
Well, it doesn't fall off; it like launches off, which is really funny. But like, yeah,
and then Jason
like,
is just standing there and just goes, and you see the blood splatter everywhere.
It's amazing. Oh, dude! And then you get like the scene towards the end where like Freddy and Jason are actually fighting, and they're just
like,
fucking
stabs
slicing
him
each other
through the mask.
Yeah, it's like yeah,
everyone is coated in blood at that point. It's great.
It's amazing.
We're getting ahead of ourselves, but yeah.
Yeah, no, but like you're absolutely right. It like some of the kills in this movie are fan-fucking-tastic. Even the ones that aren't bloody are really fun. Like there's that scene where Jason's in the cornfield and these two jocks.
The entire corn cob scene.
Yeah, so these two jocks are like messing with him, and Jason just takes one of them and completely like turns his head like 180 degrees, and then it's just backwards.
Like I'll spoil that now. That was like before the rewatch. That was my favorite kill in the movie because of just how abrupt it is, and just the fact that he cuts the guy off.
Yeah,
and you weren't invited.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he just pushes him over.
It so works. And then there's that, and then like that other jock just like starts like dousing him in beer, lights him on fire, and Jason's just like whatever, and just starts
walking through the entire corn cob on fire.
Yeah,
like that might be like one of the best Jason moments in the entire franchise.
I know. Yeah, seeing Jason like on fire, still slicing teenagers in a cornfield, like it's so good. It is so indicative of what Jason is.
And just the fact that this is happening in a fucking corncob rave. Like, why are you holding a rave in a corncob? I know that Springwood is in Ohio, so what the hell do people in Ohio do for fun? But, like, that's just so random. That might be the most Friday the 13th thing in the movie, in all honesty.
Yeah, that's strip monopoly worthy.
Corncob rave.
Corncob rave.
Hosted by a guy who looks like Jay from Jay and Silent Bob.
Oh yeah.
There's a funny bit in like I think it was in Never Sleep Again, the Elm Street documentary, where they actually have Jason Mewes come on set to talk about the movie. Oh yeah, Freddy vs. Jason. Like, hey, wait a minute, I wasn't in that fucking movie, and they just get someone and leave.
Yeah.
Because the one dude looks just like him.
Yeah, exactly.
The fact that they actually got him to do that just for the joke.
That's awesome. Oh, another funny casting I want to bring up, casted person. So Mark, so the main characters, well, at first the two main characters are like Will, played by Jason Ritter, who's in
Wait a minute.
Are you okay?
The joke is my name is William.
Oh, sorry. No.
Fun fact, so Jason Ritter, the director of this movie is Ronnie Yu, who previously before this directed Bride of Chucky, which is a fan favorite entry in that one, where he actually directed Jason Ritter's dad, Tom Ritter.
No kidding. Wow. Yeah. I didn't know that. No, I was going to make knowing my audience, I was going to say Jason Ritter is the voice of Dipper on Gravity Falls.
I mean, that too.
Yeah, that too. But wow, no, that is exactly the connection you would make.
Well, I'm making that connection because I read it in the book.
Yeah, okay. Well, you would have made that connection anyway. Who are we kidding?
I haven't seen all of Bride of Chucky yet.
Neither have I. I've never even seen Child's Play. Not yet, Minion. Not yet. But the other connection I was going to make, so Mark, the friend, his older brother in the movie is played by none other than Scott Farkas from A Christmas Story.
Amazing.
So when he's like in the bathtub and is like his fucking wrists are bleeding, yeah, that's Scott Farkas.
Incredible.
Oh my god. That's the thing is like there's so many weird casting choices in this movie, but like
The most 2000s casting choices.
yeah, if anything.
Was Betsy Palmer still alive in the 2000s?
She was, but she wasn't Pam.
Yeah, it was some other lady.
Some other old lady, yes.
Which, that's something to point out. Okay, I guess we haven't actually talked about the actual literal plot of the movie yet.
I mean,
okay,
no.
So, okay, setup. So, okay, to get into this, I guess I have to talk about who Freddy actually is. It's established in the Elm Street movies as far back as the first one. Freddy's dream powers are Freddy is only as strong as people fear him. His powers are based on fear. People need to be afraid of him for his powers to actually work. That's set up as far back as the first movie.
Sure.
After the sixth movie, they finally found a way to like cover him up, and people forgot he existed. Which
Right.
I can kind of believe that more than people not knowing who Freddy is than Jason, just because Freddy technically doesn't exist. He's only in your dreams.
Right.
So it's more, I can believe it more when people try to cover him up and not know who he is. That makes more sense.
Yeah, exactly.
So no one remembers who Freddy is, so he has no power, so he can't come back and kill again.
Mhm.
So of course, end of Jason Goes to Hell, Freddy pulls the glove underneath to hell, does the hint, so it's implied now Freddy is going after Jason. Freddy has Jason come back to life because Jason can kind of just do that.
Sure.
He gets him on his side by pretending to be Jason's mother, Pamela, which that's nice. That shows that Freddy knows what he's doing.
Smart.
So he gets Jason to come back to go to Elm Street. So now Jason gets on the Greyhound bus again to go to Elm Street. because Camp Crystal Lake is in New Jersey and Springwood is in Ohio. We'll bring that back up again later.
Okay, yeah.
So Jason goes to Elm Street to kill, to make people think it's Freddy doing it so people can become afraid of Freddy again. Solid plan.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So we get to see Pamela again, which is a nice detail.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is Jason is just kind of gonna kill because he wants to kill, because it's Jason.
Yeah.
Freddy wants the glory and wants to also kill, but Jason doesn't stop killing. So now Freddy has to stop Jason from killing so that Freddy can keep killing.
Mm-hmm.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
No, that's the plot.
Yeah.
And it sounds awesome. Except we can't have Jason and Freddy be the main focus
because
of
they're
this
both
Freddy
villains.
versus Jason, because they're both villains.
Which I get that. Because it's like when other movies do that kind of thing, they have to find a loophole. Like King Kong versus Godzilla had the loophole at that Kong's a good guy to fight Godzilla.
Yeah. And then they have to fight Mechagodzilla. Yeah.
And I was talking about the original.
Oh, the original.
No, because King Kong versus Godzilla and Godzilla versus Kong are two different movies. Hal, where are you?
I wasn't paying attention. I'm sorry.
Hal, Mothra versus Godzilla and Godzilla versus Mothra are two different movies. Hal, Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla 2 is the third Mechagodzilla movie. Also, it has no continuity with the other two Mechagodzilla movies.
Hey man, I'm having trouble as it is keeping track of the continuity of the Friday movies. Give me a break.
The continuity doesn't matter. But yeah. I bring up the problem is that like it's an Elm Street plot with a Friday cast.
Yes,
and that's a problem because the Friday casts aren't very good. They're just there to die.
Yeah, no, I do not care for any of these characters. Look, I like Jason Ritter. I like him as Dipper because I like Dipper in Gravity Falls. But just because I hear Dipper from Gravity Falls does not make me connect with this character.
I think the two leads are fine. They're not great, but I think they're fine.
Yeah. Oh, well, even then, he's not even the main character. Technically, the main character is Laurie.
Right.
Because
it has to be a girl because Final Girl.
Because Final Girl, sure. But, like, what's her story? Like, she thinks...
it's a bootleg Nancy story from the first Elm Street.
Okay, which I haven't seen in a while. Again, the only knowledge of Nightmare on Elm Street I have is the first Nightmare on Elm Street and the Simpsons Chairs of Horror segment where Groundskeeper Willie is pretty much Freddy Krueger. Like,
Her backstory is basically just Nancy's backstory of, oh, Freddy killed her mother and her dad had to cover it up, so now they're estranged.
okay. But there's also a subplot about town conspiracy, him being a doctor, developing a drug to make people go into comas so then
Oh,
they
right.
don't.
Forgot about that.
Yeah.
So that they have an excuse to go back to the mental hospital from the third movie.
Yeah, I heard like the third. Yeah, so like the mental hospital they go to, that's from the third movie. That's like a connection between the Nightmare movies, which is pretty cool.
Because the third movie is a fan favorite in that series.
Yeah, I haven't still seen the third one, so it means nothing to me. But hey, if it means something to you, good.
Yeah, I'm just pointing out that's why they did it.
Yeah, no, I know why they did it.
Again, if you're coming at this from the Friday perspective, that's a difficult thing because you really to get the most out of this movie, you really have to be a fan of both franchises.
Right, exactly. Which I'd love to see the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, but that wasn't
Not yet, Minion, not yet.
That wasn't the Halloween marathon this year.
Yeah.
So I can only judge this movie coming from the Friday the 13th perspective.
Oh, no, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that's what it is.
Yeah, no, I'm just explaining to the audience that, like, yeah, that's how I'm approaching it. You obviously have more information with this movie because, like, you're going at it with both franchises in mind. So
and also, like, I also have to, like, put this in perspective because, like, I don't get to talk about Elm Street very often for whatever reason. Generally speaking, I prefer Elm Street and Freddy to Jason and Friday.
Yeah, I think that was interesting when you let that slip in your review on Letterboxd. I'm just like...
That's like, I have to remind that the audience that, because it's like, I don't get to talk about that very often. I don't get to talk about Little Shop of Horrors very often, but that's one of my favorite things.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that's really interesting that even though you prefer Freddy and Nightmare above Friday and Jason, you still have had, like, a ton to say about Friday and Jason. Like, that just shows you how much you fucking love Nightmare on Elm Street then. Like, you know?
I love both franchises. There's that, so that's that.
Exactly.
It was just after binging all the Fridays up to this point, putting this back on for the first time in a couple of years, and we get to the New Line logo, and you hear both. You hear the Jason sound, but you also hear the Elm Street theme. It's like, oh, I'm home.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you obviously get a lot more out of this movie, and I think when I eventually watch the
and
Freddy
it shows
movies,
in my ratings.
Yeah, when I go back, when I eventually like watch the Freddy movies, I will definitely go back to this movie to kind of like see it from that perspective as well. Like, because I think that'd be fascinating to see, like seeing how this movie changes with like different context.
Like just like seeing that the movie begins with the recap of the Elm Street movies first. Like, oh yeah, if you've only seen Friday, you're gonna be lost already.
I was lost.
Because they kind of have to use Freddy as like the narrator, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, like, how much of the movie got cut or shortened.
Right.
Which, another thing that got cut, like, actually in that final fight, how they just randomly in a construction site.
Yeah, why?
Apparently they wanted to have, like, a scene where, like, there was, like, kind of like a Jaws thing going on, where there was, like, a construction thing happening in Crystal Lake, building houses and stuff. There was gonna be, like, a Tommy Jarvis Easter egg of him protesting and giving it trouble, because, like, you can't build here, Jason's gonna come back.
That would have been cool.
And like the idea was like while they were fighting, there were all these people building stuff that they got caught in the middle of Freddy and Jason, so there's more kills.
That would have been cool.
It got cut though because they were like, we're now just introducing a bunch of random characters the audience has no idea about just to pad out the movie. Which, to be fair, correct. Still would have been kind of cool, and now we're just kind of in a construction site for no reason.
You mean to tell me this movie rose a stink about introducing characters just to kill them off? As if that's never happened in the first 10 movies?
You know. Damn, the one time they had restraint.
That's so good.
Don't you love this franchise?
I kind of have to at this point. I'm this deep into it. Might as well.
We're almost 2 hours into the recording at this point.
Yeah.
And we're still not, and we're not even done with this one, and we have another movie to go yet.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Well, I mean, let me just say that, like, when Freddy and Jason are fighting during the climax, that's when the movie's really good. Like, you have Freddy, like, you have Jason in like that like boiler room setting, which I'm assuming that's like a dimension that
yeah.
Freddy takes over.
Freddy is always associated with the boiler room.
Right, exactly. Okay, that's actually kind of cool. And I like how Freddy has power over him in that scene. How he's like using the Force, or so, I know he's not actually using the Force, but like he's like, throwing Jason around, and like as he's like
literally playing pinball.
Yeah, they play pinball machine sounds. Great. Like
you see
I
him
love
like
that
flipping
shit.
you see him actually like miming like the pinball motions with the flippers.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's good. I like that.
Oh, tilt.
Yeah. um and then yeah, when they're in the real world and they're fighting, that's really cool. You have Jason like taking Freddy and just like slamming him through like a bunch of windows in a cabin. You have like we had talked about, like I think in the first episode, where like Freddy kicks Jason in the balls and Freddy breaks his foot by doing so. Like,
because now he's in the real world, so he doesn't have his powers. Now he's just a guy with a claw.
Yeah, exactly. Like, again, when it's focused on that, that's when I'm like, all right, this is one of the coolest crossovers I've ever seen. Now, that's partially due to the fact that like a bunch of other crossovers that have happened over the years are not nearly as cool as they could have been, i.e.
Right.
EVS,
Alien versus Predator.
Alien versus Predator. There's probably some people who would probably consider Godzilla versus Kong. I'm kind of up in the air with Godzilla versus Kong when it comes to that. Like, if realistically, my favorite crossover movie thus far, when it comes to the versus angle of it, would probably be Captain America: Civil War. But even then, that's like,
that was a crossover at that point.
Yeah, that was already a crossover like several movies before. Like, I only really count it because it's a versus movie, but even then, like, it's kind of up in the air. But like, barring that, like if that doesn't count, then yeah, I'd probably consider Freddy versus Jason to be one of the better ones,
Even with the weed dog scene.
The weed dog. Is that what that was?
The fucking weird Freddy caterpillar dog thing. The one time they used CGI for a major sequence in one of these movies.
Yeah.
And it's I think it's like an Alice in Wonderland riff, because it's like he's like a caterpillar blowing smoke in his face.
I guess.
Everyone brings that moment up as such a weird non sequitur thing to do.
Yeah. Kind of. Oh. Do we want to talk a little bit about the flashback sequence where Laurie sees Jason's backstory?
Oh, yeah, because Freddy taps into Jason's mind.
Yeah.
So now Freddy actually understands Jason's past, and when Laurie goes into the dream, because obviously Freddy's trying to get her, she gets pulled in too.
Mm-hmm.
I like how she's like, there's a boy drowning, yeah, help him. And then the moment she finds out it's Jason, she's like, let that bitch drown.
Yeah, exactly. I like that scene because, well, one, we get we get this like split second. I'm assuming I'm like really sure this is supposed to be like a nod to part 2, where like one of the kids like puts a bag over Jason's head. Like that has to be intentional. Like,
probably.
Yeah, like that's really cool. And then
like
Freddy, and then there's that one scene where like Freddy turns into one of the counselors.
Like Freddy is. This movie really goes to show just how fucking evil Freddy actually is.
Yeah,
because like comparing Freddy and Jason was a victim first because he drowned as a child, and it's tragic. Mm-hmm. Freddy was already a serial killer when he was killed the first time.
Right. So yeah, you can definitely tell. I also just love that scene because Laurie goes up to the counselor. It's just like, why aren't you coming? And well, they're having sex.
I'm coming, all right. It's not my fault the bitch is dead on her feet. Like I saw it earlier today. It popped up in my recommended. There's like someone who made a supercut of every time Freddy says bitch in the series, which that's like a big running thing that people think about with the movies, like how Freddy always says bitch all the time. It was only 30 seconds long for all the movies in the series. And half of them were just Freddy versus Jason.
That's funny. So you're telling me Justin Roiland lied to me when he made Scary
Correct.
Terry?
I think Scary Terry may actually say it more than Freddy actually did.
Yeah, because every line Scary Terry says is bitch. Like he literally says it every line.
Yeah, so reality is that they never watched the movies.
No. Oh, are you telling me somebody parodying something didn't watch it? Oh, what is
Damn,
this?
I can't believe they didn't actually know what they were making fun of. It's almost like they were being malicious for the sake of being malicious.
Yeah, it's almost like Rick and Morty's not very well written.
Damn. Crazy. McDonald's has new Mambo sauce. It's
Oh, there you go.
It's got some kick to it. It's fine.
That's cool.
Yeah, anyway.
Anyway, Freddy versus Jason.
The end of that, there's like the beginning part of that flashback where like before it goes to like his actual backstory where you just see Jason in Crystal Lake just endlessly killing campers and taking them back to the cabin as if it's like, this is all I am.
Yeah, that was an interesting like little bit of psychoanalyzing Jason that was
it's just kind of sad.
It's just kind of sad, but like the movie doesn't really do anything with it. Like it doesn't really do it. Like that could have been the dream sequence, but they instead decided to just go right into a flashback, and that's the dream sequence.
There was probably more to it in the original script, but they got cut down.
Mm.
And then, like the cool thing with that flashback was at the very end after Jason wakes up, where Freddy just goes full demon mode.
Mm-hmm.
Like the makeup changes, he just glows red. He looks like he is fucking demonic as hell, and it's great.
Yeah, that was really cool. I like that. I really like the air canister scene where like Freddy's just like
fire the torpedoes.
Yeah, and like Jason's just moving out of the way. Like that's cool. Like that's a really cool sequence.
And for the record, the whole idea of pulling Freddy out of the dream to bring him into reality, that generally is tied to Freddy's lose condition in the other movies.
Okay, cool.
That's how Nancy beats Freddy in the first movie. I believe they kind of do something, not quite in the third movie, but a similar thing with like his physical bones and body.
Mm-hmm.
I think they had to pull him into the real world in the sixth movie. I'd say they have to do that in the seventh movie, but technically the seventh movie takes place in the real world the whole time.
Right.
But yeah, that is like an actual thing from Elm Street that happens.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, and I mean, the movie ends on a gigantic explosion. Technically, because that's when they just explode everything. Well, actually, there is the final kill. Well, not the final kill, but like when Jason gets Freddy's arm because he sliced it off.
We gotta talk about that whole sequence because like
okay, yeah, cool start at the beginning.
It's so cool that the final attacks each of them do on the other is with their own weapon.
Yeah.
Because Freddy grabs a machete and just like stabs it all the way in through Jason during that final conflict before the explosion. And then like after Freddy gets out of the water and survives, you just see like the two kids, Lori and Will, terrified that someone's walking there. You just see their legs. You don't know which one it is. You see the machete. It's like, oh shit, it's Jason. It keeps panning up. It's actually Freddy holding the machete.
Yeah.
He's about to do the final attack, and then Freddy's glove bursts through his chest. Jason grabbed the severed arm and just slammed it through him.
That's the thing with Jason is like he's so strong in this movie. Like to go back a little, there's that scene where he like takes his machete and hits Kelly Rowland's character, and rather than just slicing her, he just launches her into a tree. Launches her into a tree, and that's how she dies. Like that's how strong Jason is.
And like, I just love the little bit before that while she's smack talking him, Freddy just doesn't give a shit. Yeah, he's just like because he sees Jason coming from behind, so he's just like, he just motions like, you want to turn around real quick?
Yeah, amazing. Like that's where the movie shines.
Because Freddy's just such a smartass.
Yeah, he really is.
Like, he's the welcome to prime time bitch guy.
Yeah.
Freddy's the one who, like, popularized the slasher villain with an attitude, with a personality.
Yeah, exactly.
Without Freddy, we don't have Ghostface, literally. We don't have Chucky. It's like, he's literally, like, where that got popular, and that's kind of, like, where the conventions of slasher movies that people know nowadays come from.
Right, exactly.
It's kind of fitting because like you have Jason who's like the one who kickstarted the initial glut of slashers, and then you have up against Freddy, his big rival, who's the one who basically popularized the second half of that decade's slashers.
Yeah, so it's really interesting, like the timeline when you think about it.
especially because the final chapter came out the year the first Elm Street came out, which is just
Yeah.
funny to think about.
Oh,
The
it's so
final
funny.
chapter.
Yeah. Oh, and then the final Friday. Yeah. Okay.
Even though they already knew that wasn't really the end. The movie tells you it's not the end because they set up this movie in that movie.
Oh my god! I just we already shit talked Friday.
That's okay. We can keep
9.
doing that.
That's true. We can.
Everyone does.
I know. Actually, a last minute casting I want to bring up. So the guy who plays Jason in this movie
Ken
is
Kirzinger.
not Ken Kirzinger, right?
Yeah.
Kirzinger? Yeah. He was actually in Jason Takes Manhattan.
Yeah, he doubled for Kane in a couple shots.
Yeah. But he was also the chef who you remember that scene in Jason Takes Manhattan where
Oh,
like
in the
Jason-
diner?
he runs into a diner and then this really big guy comes out from behind the kitchen he's supposed to be the chef. That's Ken Kirzinger, who's just this really huge guy, and he goes up to Jason. He's like, "Hey man," and then Jason just totally punches him behind the bar. So it was Jason versus Jason in that one scene. Fun fact.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, he had a connection to Friday the 13th before this movie.
That is a bit of the controversy before the movie, though, obviously, because we're getting into it now. Jason X and Jason Takes Manhattan, Freddy versus Jason, the 2000s. We had this handy dandy thing called the internet now.
Yes.
So fans let them know about there was a lot of immediate fan backlash online during the production movie when it was announced Kane wasn't Jason. Kane was not happy about it because Kane did get a script at one point beforehand, but then Ronnie decided that he wanted someone else for the role for whatever reason, and that's where Ken came in.
Yeah, is it ever really explained why Kane didn't do it?
It's
why
Ronnie just wanted someone that looked bigger. He wanted someone with more expressive eyes.
Do you even really see Jason's eyes that often?
There's
in this movie?
2 shots where you see him through the mask.
I
guess they just wanted to play it more Jason being more sympathetic, if anything.
I guess. Well, I mean, look, I like Ken as Jason. I think he does the role really well, actually.
Yeah, it's just disappointing that Kane couldn't come back.
Right. If you're
Luckily, Kane does technically come back in one fashion. He did all the mocap for Jason in the video game a couple years ago.
Okay, that's good at least. Yeah, honestly, but that's the thing is this is the movie for the fans. They called it Freddy versus Jason. This is a movie for fans. You want to be as fan servicey as possible if you can. So I don't know. I mean, the fact that this random director just came up with this, I don't know. Whatever. We're this movie's 20 years old this year. We're kind of late. It doesn't
please
matter.
don't say that. Don't mention the fact that it's been 20 years. This book came out for the 25th anniversary of the series. And also, fun fact that this is also the last movie that's covered in the book.
Okay.
This book predates the 2009 film.
Yeah. So is there anything else we have to say about Freddy versus Jason then? I mean, have we said
I
our
guess-
favorite kill and favorite weird
Well, there's
moment?
the very ending of the movie because it's a crossover, you can't kill off either character, so you kind of have to be slight ambiguous.
Yeah. So
and
obviously,
depending on how you read it, though, you could read one over the other, and you could probably make the case for either way.
Yeah.
So the ending of the movie, what happens? Jason comes out of the lake like he usually does, and he's holding Freddy's severed head from the end of the film.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like, oh, Jason won. And then it pans over to Freddy's head, and he winks at the camera.
And you hear him laugh, have an echoey evil laugh. Yeah.
So now it's debatable of, is Freddy still pulling the strings? Did Jason get the win? And I want to note, because in both so Ronnie Yu does come up in both documentaries for the movie, for Crystal Lake Memories and Never Sleep Again. And it's so funny because in Crystal Lake Memories, he gives it the ambiguous thing of it's for the fans to decide who won. In Never Sleep Again, he says, yeah, we kind of do it ambiguous, but in my head, Freddy always won. Thanks, Ronnie.
Thanks, Ronnie.
But in my head, Freddy won.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ronnie.
I mean, like you said, it's kind of hard to like really have a winner because like that's the thing. Like you can't really kill off both characters. That's kind of their point.
There's also a really fun quote from him. That he says like he wanted Freddy and Jason to fight like as if it was Godzilla and T-Rex fighting. Are they gonna hold back? No, they're gonna go at each other. And I just want to pause there and go like Godzilla and a T-Rex fighting.
Godzilla.
Like Godzilla, who in his smallest incarnation is 164 feet tall, versus a T-Rex, who is on average 12 feet tall. I don't think that's a fight.
Ronnie, you had a perfectly good crossover with Godzilla gift wrapped for you.
And it's like, it's like at first I hear that, okay, it's a slip of the tongue. No, because that same quote then shows up in this book and in everything else. So he keeps repeating himself on that.
Godzilla and a T-Rex.
Ronnie. Ronnie. What do you mean he did a Phantom of the Opera movie when he was still in Hong Kong? Ronnie. Okay, so favorite kill.
Favorite kill. I'm gonna go with Freddy's death.
So Freddy getting the claw through his chest.
Claw through the chest is pretty good, honestly.
It's really satisfying.
Yeah. Now, if I had to go with like one of like a real death, I'm gonna go with the mattress folding death. That one's pretty cool.
For me, if not the actual finale of the film, then it would be the neck snap in the corn cob.
That's good too.
And as far as weird moment goes, just the entirety of corn cob rave.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Like that, if we want to be more specific, I would go like Jason on fire slicing up people. Like,
oh, that's not a weird moment. That's just a badass moment.
That is badass. Okay, yeah, but
I'm just talking about the fact that these random Ohio teenagers. Oh my god, I forgot to bring that up. We'll get to that after. Just about these random Ohio teenagers holding a big drunk party in a corn maze.
Yeah, it was very strange. But yeah, you want to bring that up? The fact
that yeah. So okay. So after at the hospital, the whole point of going to the hospital so they can get the hypnosil pills so that they stop dreaming, so that Freddy can't get them, so that they only have to worry about Jason. Mm-hmm. Of course, one of them falls asleep, so Freddy manages to take control of him and uses Trank to put Jason to sleep so that Freddy can get in Jason's dream to fight him and kill him.
Mm-hmm.
So, with Jason asleep, the teenagers decide that, okay, we gotta get Jason back to Crystal Lake for some... I forget what the reason actually was.
Like, he'll have home field advantage, they said it like that? Yeah, something like that. I guess.
So they put Jason in the back of their van and to head to Camp Crystal Lake. So, they go from Springwood, Ohio to Crystal Lake, New Jersey in the span of one night.
Yeah. Traffic was light, I guess.
There's an entire Pennsylvania in between those two states. Pennsylvania is very wide.
Oh, dude, you don't need to tell me twice.
You know what? Okay, I'm gonna... What is like a popular city in Ohio?
Cleveland.
Okay, I'm gonna...
The place where they released all those balloons?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
the worst ecological disaster ever. Thanks, Cleveland.
Thank you, Cleveland, for Balloon Fest. Imagine you're those two guys on the boat, and you die because you drown because no one could find your body because a bunch of balloons showed up.
It's okay. Cleveland's no longer the butt of jokes.
Okay, Cleveland, Ohio. Directions. Gonna swap that. Blair, New Jersey, because that's where the first Friday took place. Blairstown, New Jersey.
Blairstown, New Jersey.
Okay, driving. If you don't stop and manage to somehow take the fastest route, even though they'd have to pay tolls, that is 6 hours and 6 minutes. If you ignore tolls, that road also has tolls. Never mind. So yeah, roughly 6 hours to get there.
That is half your day. That is not an entire night.
Because they still have to fight after that.
Exactly. It's like, and you're in a van the whole time. And again, it did not look like they were taking major highways, let me tell you. Like
they were taking back roads.
They were taking back roads. So,
and also they have to get Jason on the van in the first place.
Yeah, which would have taken a while because he's a big guy.
I'd imagine he's very heavy.
I would imagine that too. And it does not make any sense.
Which is why the movie doesn't focus on it and hopes you forget. They hope you forgot that these two places work in entirely different states.
Unfortunately, William, you live in the one state separating those two states, so you didn't forget.
Well, also, like, even aside from that, the fact of the matter is that I've seen both of these franchises and know where these cities are.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't know Springwood was in Ohio, but then you said that, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
Oopsie doodle.
Oopsie fucking
And that's even
doodle.
Assuming that, because Springwood's not a real place, obviously.
Right.
And
this is taking into account that this is Cleveland. And Cleveland is, like, East Ohio. So this is closer. Like, who's to say that Springwood is not in West Ohio?
Yeah. Who's to say that it's not in, like, Columbus or something?
Yeah. Or something. Exactly. Like, they don't...
Yeah.
Incredible. Yeah, exactly.
At least they don't go to Haddonfield, too, in this movie.
Oh, no.
And, like, I can't use, like, an actual Ohio state that they filmed... Ohio City that they filmed in as a substitute, because I'm pretty sure the first Elm Street was filmed in California.
I would bet good money it was.
I think most of them were shot in California.
I think so too. Yeah, I would not be surprised.
But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so just pointing that one out for you.
Mm-hmm.
But favorite kill, the next snap, and the corn cob rave. Coroner's report time.
Coroner's report time. Let's go.
I'm pretty sure this one probably did well just on the grounds of what it is. Production budget, $25 million.
Oh, the most expensive so far.
This one also has to make the point of development budget because of that goddamn 10-year gap.
What's the development budget?
$6.8 million.
Whoa.
Because they had to write all those scripts and stuff beforehand. The development budget on this one already is 2 of the other movies combined.
That's so funny.
Probably more than that.
Probably more, yeah.
Principal shooting day is September 9th to November 22nd, 2002.
Okay.
Shooting locations, Vancouver, British Columbia.
Yeah.
Taglines, winner kills all. Evil will battle evil. And on the DVD release, Slicer, Dicer. Because like one would be under Freddy, the other would be under Jason.
Does Jason dice?
I guess.
Okay.
He slices, he dices.
So
Worldwide box office.
Mm.
It makes a point establishing both of those.
Okay.
Worldwide, 114,326,122.
Wow.
U.S. box office, 82,622,655. Opening weekend box office, 36,428,066. 44% of the box office, rank 1.
That is the entirety. That is more than the entirety of Jason X's entire box office run.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, you have the grounds that this was the big crossover that's been developed for 10 years. It was 2 franchises. So you had both. You had people who were just fans of one of them coming to it. Then you had fans of both of them. The movie I remember was a big deal when it came out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it had a hell of a soundtrack. A hell of the fucking most heavy, the 2003 heavy metal and new metal.
Dude, if honestly, if this came out today, it would not have that new metal soundtrack. So I am so thankful it came out in 2003, if anything.
It would just have a standard orchestral soundtrack. It would have like maybe like a pop song during the credits or something.
Oh god, I can't imagine. It would just be so lame. Like, if it's going to be like trashy new metal, like, I'm glad it came out in the early 2000s just for that, because at least with early 2000s you get that like cheesiness that like the early 2000s did so well. Like, I'd rather the cheesiness of the early 2000s than the cheesiness of like, say, the 2010s, because
like during the opening title where you have like when it cuts to show like all the blood come out, you just have that 2000s metal song over the words Freddy versus Jason. When Freddy gets pulled into the real world and he sees Jason for the first time, you just hear that guitar riff going on in the background.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You have the Il Nino song over the actual credits.
Yeah. It just worked out that way.
You know, it's because like some of the other ones also had theme songs beforehand. Like you had the His Eyes song in the fifth movie. They had like Friday had a lot of like 80s rock, very 80s rock. You had the Alice Cooper song.
Yeah, you had the funky theme song in part 3. Yeah.
Freddy gets to do both ways because like he gets like that kind of rock because he had like the Dawkins song in the first one. There was like that random Nightmare song in the first movie that was, I think it was like Johnny Depp's friends doing that song or something.
That sounds likely.
Because I don't know if you knew this, but similar to Friday the 13th, the first Elm Street had like a unknown at the time actor who became huge later with Johnny Depp.
Yeah, no, I knew that. That. Yeah.
But then around the second half of the series, after you get the Tuesday Nights on the fourth movie, in the fifth and sixth movies, you get like fucking 80s rap songs. Like you got like in one movie, like the one movie, I think part 5 had both like an Iron Maiden song and a rap song at the same time.
Oh my god.
Like you had Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter with Bruce Dickinson, and you had like not Puff Daddy, but some like Iggy Pop or something in one of them. Like Freddy got both rap and rock in the 80s. It was great.
That's awesome.
It was so like, you know the Will Smith song, right?
Getting Jiggy with It?
No, it wasn't in any of the actual movies, but like Will Smith did like an Elm Street song called A Nightmare on My Street.
Oh, I've never heard of this.
Yeah, look up Nightmare on My Street. They found like the lost music video that they couldn't release because of copyright a couple years ago, but like the song's been out for a while.
That's funny.
And it's a Will Smith song. So you know what it sounds like now that I told you that.
Oh, I can just picture it already.
It had to be a nightmare on my street. Like he had DJ Jazzy Jeff was working on it with him.
Oh, brother.
And like he talks about, we were on Elm Street and Nancy was there. Thank you, Will Smith. Very cool.
Oh, well, always making
so
it
yeah,
about
Freddy
you.
vs. Jason made a lot of money. Yeah. And it was, honestly, it's a pretty I think it's a satisfying conclusion to both series in a way.
I think so. Yeah, it
well,
doesn't
is it perfect? Is it perfect? Hell no. But it's.
No.
I think it's fun.
I think the ending shot they had, where Jason walks out and he's holding Freddy's head, and Freddy's head winks, like that's a perfect ending for these characters. I feel.
And like even before I even saw the movie, like I heard people like in school back in elementary school talking about it because like this was the one that came out when we were kids, so people were talking about it. Yeah. I also remember hearing some of the people say things like, yeah, they never show Jason's face. If you see it, you die, stuff like that, because you don't show his face in the movie, which is also just such a great way to look back in retrospect, knowing, wow, none of those guys ever fucking watched the movies.
That's so funny.
That is so things like that. And now that I've actually... No, this wasn't middle school. This was elementary school.
That was elementary. This
is like 4th grade.
Yeah, no, that is so elementary school.
Like hearing them say that, and it's like, wow, now that I'm an adult, I've actually watched the movies. I know for a fact that none of them watched the movies back then. Which, to be fair, they were children and shouldn't have been.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's just so funny because, yeah, no, they literally show his face in every movie.
Yeah.
It's actually rare when they don't.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, also I had to put the book down now because for the next movie we're talking about, it's not covered in the book.
No. So, William, we've made it to the very last Friday the 13th movie thus far. I say thus far because, never say never.
It's like, and they've wanted to make some sense. Like the people who wrote the reboot, who also wrote Freddy vs. Jason, apparently they actually like just this past week, like for Friday the 13th last week, they actually like released like parts of like the draft they had written for the unmade one. Like that was supposed to be like a sequel to this, and like there was like they showed like a kill scene where like someone was on like a zip line, and then Jason walks over, and he's standing at the bottom of the zip line. Hijinks ensue.
Amazing. That sounds amazing.
I think if it's also like the one version that I heard of one point, they were also going to introduce Jason's dad, which I don't like.
No, I don't like that either.
I think that is too complicated at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't need to hear from Elias. I'm sorry.
No, we don't.
You don't need to rewrite the wheel on these.
Yeah, so...
Keep it simple, stupid. And I remember at one point a couple years ago, my friends even sent me like an unused script from something that someone had that didn't get picked up. And it was absolutely a Friday the 13th movie.
That's cool.
Like, it was a decent Friday the 13th script. But, of course, the actual reason to get into why there hasn't been another one, because once 35 years passed, there's that thing where like certain rights go back to the original writer. So some rights went back to Victor Miller. This caused problems with Warner Brothers and with Sean Cunningham. And there was like a big legal issue battle that went on that I think only just ended recently. And, of course, there's been no movement yet.
Right.
And it's like, it kind of put a stop to so much stuff because like merch got canceled, the video game got support pulled because of it, where they couldn't add to it, so DLC got canceled. That's why Jason hasn't shown him stuff like Dead by Daylight. It kind of just put a stop to a whole lot of things.
Yeah.
It was actually kind of a miracle that this box set even came out.
Yeah.
Because like I'm not sure like what gray zone it worked under, because I guess since it was just releasing the movies, but they did make new special features for it, which is like kind of like the weird thing about it, because like I didn't think they were allowed to make new stuff at this point.
No, I didn't think that either. Yeah, well, that's the thing.
They did.
But here's the weird thing about these last two Blu-rays.
Yeah, that's the thing.
We didn't
was going to mention it, but I guess we can mention it here. So
we can mention it here.
These two movies, Freddy vs. Jason and the 2009 film, due to licensing with Warner Brothers, they were not actually allowed to make new discs. So the two discs that are in this box set are just the discs that already existed for both movies for a while. So if you already
funny.
owned the movies on Blu-ray beforehand, it's the same version you already owned. Like I had a steelbook of 2009 from 2019 for the 10th anniversary that I already had before this, and it is the exact same disc.
That is so funny.
I don't know why Warner Brothers did that, because they were allowed to do it for Jason Goes to Hell and for Jason X. There was new stuff on those discs.
Yeah,
like Jason Goes to Hell had a new transfer done, and there were new interviews with Jason X. So why couldn't they do anything for these two movies? I don't know.
I don't.
Warner Brothers.
Know. Be consistent.
It's lame, but the alternative was that they wouldn't have been in the box set at all.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm glad they were included, so then we could talk about them.
Yeah, because like that's the conceit that Shout Factory had to make. Like, okay, well, we still want to include the movies in the box set because the whole point of this is to get them in there. Because that's the thing, that the box set is kind of a miracle. Because like Halloween, the rights are split. Paramount owns the first 8, Warner Bros. Owns the second half, the other 4.
Yeah.
So you're never going to get, on most occasions, an actual box set of all the movies because of the rights.
Which makes this box set all the more special.
Because they were able to get the contract cleared for both, to have both parts of the franchise together.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad they at least managed to work that out, even if they have to like reissue discs. And that's fine, because I also still didn't own Freddy vs. Jason on Blu-ray yet. I had it on DVD because of the one Elm Street DVD set.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad that to get the Blu-ray, plus the Elm Street Blu-ray set, for some reason, doesn't include Freddy vs. Jason. Like that, the Elm Street Blu-ray set only has the first 7 movies. It doesn't have the Freddy vs. Jason, and it doesn't have the remake.
Yeah, which
granted,
strange.
I don't care about the remake.
Yeah. Well,
I care about this remake though.
Well, see, that's the interesting thing. So, before watching these movies, I'll be completely honest. I think this remake was the movie I was least looking forward to watching.
Because you hear about it's a remake from that era.
Yes.
It has Michael Bay's name flashes like 5 times in the opening credits.
Oh, dude, when I saw that, I almost spat out my drink because I was like, wait a minute. When they say from the producers of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, oh, no.
Yeah,
they
and
mean
that's
the 2003
thing.
one.
And when this first came out, like, people did not like it when it first came out. I think mostly just on the grounds of horror reboot.
Yes.
But recently, people have been watching it again as years went on and reevaluating it, and most people now feel like it's not bad. It's pretty decent. And watching it, yeah, it's not bad. It's decent.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. This is not the worst one by far, obviously, because Jason Goes to Hell is the absolute worst. Yeah. But even then, like, just watching this movie in a vacuum, it's honestly not the worst. Like, it does have elements to it that kind of weigh it down, and it's, it is a remake, and, like, everything...
And it shows the era it was made in again.
Yeah. As opposed to the early 2000s, this is the late 2000s, which is very, very different.
Early GPS, the tech dude blasting Sister Christian as he's walking to the weed farm.
Yeah.
I have not heard that song in years. God, yeah. So, well... I bring up the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the 2003 one, because not only is it produced by Michael Bay, who produced that movie, it's also directed by the guy who made the Texas Chainsaw movie with R. Lee Ermey, which also kind of made me fearful because, my God, I hate that Texas Chainsaw movie. It is so boring and so terrible. I've only seen 2 Texas Chainsaw movies, and they're the only 2 worth watching.
Exactly.
No, wait, no, I've seen 3. I forgot.
That's right. You did watch the 2022 one.
That's right. I did watch 2022. I made a reference to it earlier in this video.
Well, isn't that very enlightening?
Telling.
It's very telling.
Damn, the 2 I've seen, the ones I've seen and own are the ones I own in 4K. If that tells you anything about those movies,
exactly.
That they got 4Ks released.
Well, let's talk about the Friday the 13th remake. First off, I want to say something that really threw me for a loop, even more so than the Michael Bay credit. They make a specific reference to Blue Velvet. Like,
I haven't
what?
seen Blue Velvet yet. What happened?
So what happens? So in Blue Velvet, there's a scene where Dennis Hopper is the main villain, and he's like toying with the main character, and like he asks somebody like, "What beer do you drink?" And the character goes, "Heineken," and Dennis Hopper says the brilliant line of, "Heineken, fuck that shit, Pabst Blue Ribbon." And so in this movie, the dudes surrounding the campfire specifically say Heineken, and they say, "Fuck that shit, dude. Pabst Blue Ribbon is where it's at." And I'm like, wait a minute. Did they just reference Blue Velvet?
That's funny.
What a weird reference to make. Again,
this is a franchise for the people.
More subtle than the fucking Necronomicon.
Because you'd have to have seen that movie to know that.
Yeah. Oh, and also, because they make a joke about how Heineken tastes like piss. And one of the girls goes, "For the record, you will never drink my piss." And one of the guys goes, "That's what you think." And I was like, what?
Yeah, that's 2000s. These are college students in the 2000s.
Yeah, so the movie starts off with like a flashback showing Jason actually witnessing Pamela having her head sliced off,
which kind of implies that the first movie still happens.
Right.
This movie was ahead of the game.
Yeah. So, but I remember you were like making that a point, like, okay, why is this a remake then if they're doing the exact same?
Rewatching it now, like, okay, it does feel more rebooty than I remember, but it's like, I feel like with a little tweaking, very slight tweaking, they probably could have just called this Part 12.
Yeah.
And no one would have cared.
Right. Yeah, because they make it point to, well, because they do show it like happening in like 1980, so I guess that's why they would show that, because like Jason's actually a kid in 1980, and that was not at all established. And also, much like Final Friday, Jason Goes to Hell, I'm gonna be honest, this movie doesn't really do Jason all that well. I like the look of Jason, but Jason in this movie does a lot of things that Jason would never do in any other movie. Now, I'll give the minuscule amount of credit. With this movie. It is a reboot, so it can do things differently. Right. So I'm fine with that. It's just, there are things it does where I'm like, I don't know if I like that change. But
and then there's things that it does, like, why does Jason have a bat cave?
Well, yeah. Why does he? So first of all, there's a bunch of tunnels underneath Camp Crystal Lake that he just hides out in. Okay, like, did he dig those? Were those there before? Where did this come from? Why is this here? Like, huh?
So the Blu-ray in the box actually has like a blurb on the back if you want to quickly read that. Yeah, we haven't read the blurbs on the back of these at all yet.
I mean,
but yeah, they point out terror goes to extremes in this reimagining of the Jason legend for today's horror fan. Enter, for the first time, the subterranean lair that is Jason's den of fear. See him discover the mask that hides his deformed face. Yeah.
Oh, brother. Yeah. Well, the other thing that Jason does in this movie that I'm like, Jason would never do that,
is he kidnapped that girl?
Well, he kidnaps the girl and he runs in the movie. Like,
well, okay, he ran in the first couple movies, to be fair.
Right, but Jason at this point is known for walking slowly.
Right,
like,
or just like appearing when you least expect him to.
Right, exactly. Like, that's kind of his thing. Whereas, like, here, he just runs. And it was a little off-putting, I must admit. It kind of makes sense in this movie because, like, okay, fine. Again, it's a different interpretation, but I just found it kind of weird.
That doesn't really bother me, just because the fact that like the whole Jason doesn't run thing is later in the series, and it always just feels more like one of those things that fans say.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's fair. That's fair. Can I also mention that this is the second movie I've seen in a horror franchise this year that references Spaceballs?
What was the Spaceballs reference again?
So let me go back to a couple weeks ago when I watched Exorcist 3 for the first time, and they explicitly say, "May the Schwartz be with you."
Oh, right, like, the campfire scene, they say the way the Schwartz be with you, right?
So in this, well, they don't even get the reference right. They don't even get the reference right because the dude says, "May the Force be with you, Schwartz," and I'm like, "What? That's not the line. Like, what? Why is this the second time a movie in a horror franchise I've seen this year is referencing Spaceballs?" Like,
incorrectly.
Incorrectly, if anything. I was like, what? Like, you got to understand, I had the Michael Bay credit. I had the pissing, I had the drink your piss line. I had I had this line, may the Force be with your Schwartz line. Like, I had the weed line. I had the Heineken Pabst Blue Ribbon line. Like, all of these things were piling up in the first 5 minutes, and I'm like, what the fuck am I watching?
And for the record, we're only talking about the opening of the movie here, the first half hour of the movie, which isn't even the main plot, because this movie has an extended opening.
Yeah.
Which is basically an entire Friday the 13th movie condensed to 30 minutes.
And it's not bad, if anything.
Yeah, honestly, like, I think it's really well done.
Yeah.
It's oh, wow, they give you an entire movie in the opening of the movie. That's great.
And I like the kills. I like the reveal of our first dead guy, which is the nerd with the GPS when he takes a piss on the weed. Like, his friend tries to go find him because he thinks his friend is, like, perving on him while he's, like, fucking that chick. And he goes to find the dude, and he comes across the weed because apparently there was a subplot where they were going to, like, find the weed and, like, take it.
Well, that's the whole reason they were coming out there in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. And he finds his friend's headphones where he was listening to Sister Christian, but the severed ear is still attached to the headphones. That's a neat reveal. I like that.
Jason's brutal in this movie.
Oh yeah, and then that leads into the second kill, which is the sleeping bag kill.
Which I'm going to spoil, this is my favorite kill in the movie.
Oh my god, it's fantastic. It is one step above the sleeping bag kill from part 7. Like,
oh, I'd say it's several steps above.
Several steps above. Yes, that is fair to say, because all he does is he like traps her in the sleeping bag, hangs the sleeping bag, ties it to a tree, and hangs it above the campfire and cooks her. Like, holy crap, that's amazing.
Like, yeah, she fucking burns to death in that sleeping bag. It's great. And her boyfriend is just helpless. He's helpless there because he's caught in a bear trap and can't move.
Oh, the bear trap is like, at first I was like, bear trap, kind of simplistic, but the gore on the bear trap, holy crap,
because like
dude.
You see the bone coming out because he's trying to get out.
You see his like, his foot is like ripping apart. It's incredible.
2009, they could actually do shit.
Yeah, they could actually do shit. It's really, really cool. And I like the idea that Jason in this scene doesn't have his mask yet. Like, he has, it's not a bag like in part 2, but it's more like bandaged up.
It's a reference to part 2 either way.
Yeah, it is very much a reference.
It's a better looking version of the bag.
Yeah, because, well, it's not a fucking one-eyed bag.
Also, like, just to look at Jason generally, like, you don't, because the movie's very dark, so you don't get great shots of it, but like, if you look at like what he's wearing, it's like 3 different coats and jackets stapled together. Mm-hmm. Like, it looks like some shit he just threw together over the years because he's been living in the woods that whole time.
Yeah. Which he has. So, no, it makes complete sense. Like, yeah, I like the Jason costume in this movie. I'm not sure how much of a hot take this is, but I kind of like him finding his iconic hockey mask scene in this movie more so than the original in part 3. Like, it makes a hell of a lot more sense because he loses his bandage when he kills Pervy McPerv, who's like hitting on a mannequin in his attic. You remember that scene?
Yeah. I mean, it brings the question of why he didn't find that mask earlier, but you know.
Right. But like, he comes across this mask in this like fucking attic full of junk. It's like, okay, he's gonna find a mask in there, like a hockey mask. Sure, that makes so much more sense. And I even like how like the movie makes it a big deal, how he like puts it on, and like the music is like very atmospheric and really cool. Like, honestly, it's a really cool scene. I like it a hell of a lot more than just, oh, Shelley had a mask in part 3 and then Jason used it for the rest of his existence.
To be fair, that's also kind of thing where, like, the mask actually is iconic at this point in time, so they have to do that, whereas in the third movie, it was never intended to be special at all. It just was a mask.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So it's one of those retrospect elements.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing with this movie. It is exactly what I was probably expecting the first actual Friday the 13th to be when it came to, like, you know, what Friday the 13th is, you know? Like, that's the movie. Like, this is the movie when you think Friday the 13th and you know who Jason is. Like, this remake is probably what you would expect the first one to be. But the first one is not that at all.
Right, because again, we brought this up in the past. It's like Friday the 13th is kind of like that thing where it's like its reputation precedes it, and that's a problem because what its reputation was built up over the course of like 2 decades. To the point now where people go back to it with these expectations, and the movies were never meant to be that in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, another thing with Jason in this movie, played by Derek Mears, who I'm going to send you a picture of Derek Mears real quick.
Sure.
So that's what Derek Mears looks like normally.
Yeah.
Apparently, he used to get bullied in school. People said he looks like Jason Voorhees. Well, who's laughing now, bitch?
Incredible.
So he grew up to literally just become Jason Voorhees.
That's incredible. Wow.
What a guy.
What a dude.
Good for him.
But yeah, like we've said, so yeah, the first 20 minutes of this movie is like an entirely different movie. It's like a short film in and of itself. It's like the opening to Across the Spider-Verse, where like the opening itself can be considered a short film because you're like, I mean, it's not as good as Across the Spider-Verse where you're like so engrossed and then like the credits actually start and you're like, oh right, the movie hasn't even started yet. Like here, I think it works because then like it goes into because then like right when the titles like comes on, it just says Friday the 13th. I'm like, oh yeah, the movie hasn't even started yet. Holy shit! Like, really cool opening, I must say.
We got an entire movie before the movie even starts.
Yeah, and so then the movie actually starts, and
It's fine.
Mean, yeah.
In terms of the series, I'd argue it does some things a little more competently, like the main character's whole reason for coming here is because his sister gets kidnapped for some reason by Jason for some reason. So
right.
he's looking for her. So it's like, oh, it's like a better version of what they do in part 4 with that one guy.
Right. Yeah, because they actually make it a point to show, oh, it's been 6 weeks. Like, it's 6 weeks later. It's like, okay, now I can definitely buy this character wanting to look for her, as opposed to the timeline in the original where it's like, it's been a day, dude. Like, come on. Yeah, but I will say it's like, why are because like I like the main character enough because I like that he has some motivation, but like
he's also more likable than the rest of the characters who are only here to die.
Well, why do they hate him so much? Like, the movie makes these characters out to be so unlikable because they're such a piece of shit to him for no reason. Like, that Trent dude is just like, hey man, lost your sister or something like that, or it's just like, dude, like, why are you such a dick to this guy? Like, you have no reason to hate him. Like,
yeah, it's okay, he's only there to die.
Why is the Asian character named Chewie?
Because Star Wars reference.
That's what I was saying. Like, yeah, me being a massive Star Wars head, I'm like Chewbacca? Like, why is that your name? Like, what is happening?
It probably isn't actually his name, but that's just he goes by, so it's technically his name.
Sure, I guess. Oh, and also, Layla from Sky High is in this movie. Danielle Panabaker.
Is she like the girl that Trent fucks or something?
She's the girl who's the only decent person to Clay.
Okay, so she's the main girl until she's not the main girl anymore.
Until she's not the main girl anymore.
Okay, yeah, something to point out about this movie real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Jason fucking wins.
Yeah.
Jason wins.
Yeah.
They don't stop him.
They don't.
You think they do because they put him back in the lake. He immediately bursts out, grabs him, freeze frame, credits.
Freeze frame credits.
Jason wins.
I was a little worried at first because I'm like, oh, they defeated Jason. But then I'm like, no, wait, this is a Friday the 13th movie. He always comes back. And yeah, he bursts out, probably killing them in the process because, I mean, really, what else is going to happen in that situation?
Left.
They have nothing left. Like, yeah, no, that's when I knew, like, okay, this movie isn't perfect, but it understands what Friday the 13th is. Even more so than Adam Marcus. But we've beaten that dead horse.
He blew up a dead horse. Yeah, like, just the fact that, because, like, the main girl, like, she helps the guy get his sister back, and then Jason immediately stabs her while she's still there.
Yeah, and then she's dead. She's just dead. Like, you think she was going to be the final girl? Nope.
She's also dead now.
It was the sister from the first part of the movie. Like, yeah.
And then she gets caught by Jason in the end. Oops.
Yeah. So there was there a final girl? Technically not.
No. They have nothing left to do. Like, we don't see either of them actually die, but like, what are they going to do against Jason at this point in time?
Exactly. It is the perfect ending for, I mean, considering this is the final Friday the 13th movie we've gotten, it's kind of the perfect ending for the character if they were to never make another movie again. I mean, again, I have no idea if they ever are going to. Like I said, never say never. But, like, you know, like, for the time being, it's exactly within character for Jason to just come back and still try to kill people.
It's not a bad conclusion. It's a pretty decent remake. It's pretty basic, I'll say. Like, yeah, the characters are forgettable, but like, yeah, it's this franchise.
I remember certain aspects about the characters. Like, that one guy has a shirt that says "Fuck Christmas."
Yeah, that's weird.
I don't know why.
Fuck Christmas.
You have that one girl with the stupendous tits. You have the black character who's like, why do you assume I'm making a rap label just because I'm black? Like, that's not what I can't like Green Day. It's like,
sorry.
no.
So what music are you making? Rap.
Yeah.
And then he tries to jack off later.
to a woman in a Sears catalog, the winter edition.
This will have to do.
Yeah.
It has those weird moments, at least, the series is known for.
Oh, yeah, no, there's a lot of weird moments. There's that scene where Chewie is, like, walking around the shed drunk as fuck, and he's just like, Trent, you're such a douchebag. I'm drinking your wine. This is a great place. And I'm just like, dude. And then Jason kills him. Like we were all seeing that coming. Like, come on,
there's a scene, like, where they're on the jet ski listening to Tick, Tick, Boom.
Yeah.
Which is a song you haven't heard in a decade.
No, I have not. Like, I listened to it a couple days ago because when I watched this movie, I don't even remember what it was.
Yeah, that's a song I haven't heard in years.
Yeah.
And you hear that, the jet ski scene ends, and the one guy gets shot in the head with an arrow.
That was cool.
And at first I thought it was like a spear gun or something again. No, that was an actual bow and arrow.
Yeah, because he has the bow.
Like, damn, Jason, like, fucking slammed that arrow in his head.
That was fucking cool. And then, like, she, like, falls off and the boat, like,
smacks her in the
way.
head, and she's, like, bleeding partially, and then Jason, like, gets her from under the dock through the head.
Oh, that was cool, because, like, he went, like, sort of cross-eyed and, like, lifted her up, and then she, like, just fell. Fucking awesome. Yeah. Yeah, again, it's the little things this movie gets right, and is really cool. It's just, the whole picture is not terrible. It's just,
it's too clean.
That, you are completely 100% right. It is way too clean.
It's too slick. Like, that whole era of, like, horror, I feel like the only one who really gets it right is Cabin in the Woods, which is, you know, a parody.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's too clean. It's too slick. Like, there's no grit. It feels a little sterilized. Yeah. Which makes, like, the parts where nothing's happening a little more apparent.
Yeah, very much so. Because we don't get funny strip Monopoly moments. I mean, we get occasionally funny lines, like when Chewie's just like, they don't call me the Wood Wizard because I masturbate a lot, which is funny, but, like, you know.
It's not as funny as Tony the Wonder Llama.
It's not as funny as Tony the Wonder Llama.
But, yeah, the movie's just decent.
Well, that's the thing, is, like, I feel like we're kind of struggling to, like, really talk about this movie in greater depth that we have with the other movies. But it's just because, like,
it's so similar in a lot of ways, and, like, where it is different, it's like, there's not much to dissect about what's different.
Yeah, and I can't really even say this is, like, a secret masterpiece. Like, I'm shocked I liked it as much as I did, but I also can't really say this is, like, some secret, like, good movie, like, because it's also not that. Like, it's not great, but it's not as bad as I was expecting it to be. Like, I have a lot of respect for it, I must say.
It's fine. That's about all I can really muster to say about it.
Exactly. It was better than the movie I watched after it, which was Last House on the Left that night.
Yeah, I watched that just to, like, break up the movie, to see something else, and, like, oh, hey, Sean and Wes actually worked on this together. Let's see what this was like. Oh, this is pure 70s exploitation. There is nothing here.
Nothing at all.
I'm gonna watch 2009 now.
Yeah, and then after watching 2009, I was like, oh, William watched Last House on the Left with Wes and Sean working on it. Let me watch this. And I watched it, and I was like, wow, this is horrible. Like, this isn't even, like, you can't, like, there's nothing to it. Like, Last House on the Left, like, probably the worst horror movie I've watched all October. Like, even worse than the new Exorcist movie. And that was really bad.
Yeah, there was nothing to... That was very much wow, this is our first movie.
Yeah, so made me appreciate...
You know, the book does bring it up, saying, like, yeah, it was just shock for... The Crystal Memory says it's just shock for shock value.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is. It's pure exploitation. It's just for shock value. Like, aren't these people horrible? Yeah. They killed two girls for no reason and are now dicking around with their parents.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the one time it was trying to get interesting was revealed to be a dream sequence. So it's like, oh, cool. You don't even know how to do that properly. Great. Awesome. Fantastic.
There's one interesting connection I can make. Someone named Janie Lee used to make these webcomics called Camp Counselor Jason. That was, what if Jason was an actual counselor at Crystal Lake and he was good, and he basically turns him into a himbo.
Oh.
It's
Okay.
it's cool and funny.
Yeah.
And she's done like comics where like he does like goes to like other horror characters, like you see him with Michael like at a Halloween party. He's going on a date with Carrie. There was one where they actually bring in the characters from Last House on the Left who are like going to Crystal Lake to cause trouble and kill people, and Jason accidentally kills all of them.
That's funny.
Like, and one of them,
That's
the
funny.
main guy, Weasel, gets killed the same way Roy did in part 5. He falls out of the barn because Pamela put spikes there, because the whole bit with Pamela is that she thinks everyone's trying to actually hurt Jason, so Pamela's still evil, even though Jason's good.
That's
So
funny.
she puts the spikes there to try to get them later, and Weasel just falls on top of it. You ever want to see Himbo Jason? Go look up Camp Counselor Jason.
I must. Yeah. No, this sounds infinitely more appealing to me than Last House on the Left, which was a waste of time.
And Jason like uses sign language to talk. Because it's still Jason. He still wears the hockey mask.
That's funny.
She hasn't updated in a while, but like it was going for a while there. It's good art.
That sounds
bright and
awesome.
colorful. So yeah, look up Camp Counselor Jason if you want to see Himbo Jason.
That sounds.
I'm
fun.
not overselling Himbo Jason.
No.
It is Himbo Jason the comic series.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't have coroner's report for this one because this was after the book came out. It does get included in the documentary though.
Okay.
So they do talk about the 2009 in the documentary.
Yeah.
I should point out, because you guys hear me saying about this documentary a lot throughout this show that's based on the book. Yeah, it goes into detail about every movie. I need to stress that. It goes into detail on all 12 movies. It's an almost 7-hour-long documentary.
Yeah, we did not have time to watch it.
I've seen it before, but also that was years ago. And again, it's a 7-hour documentary.
I'd like to watch this documentary at some point. You know,
you should. It's a good documentary.
When I have 7 hours to spare.
There's also the Elm Street documentary, Never Sleep Again, which is 4 hours long, going into all the details besides the remake.
That's funny.
Because that came out in lead up to the remake.
Right, exactly.
But also, no one gives a shit about the Elm Street remake.
No. From the sounds of it,
I'll preface it this way. I have seen the Elm Street remake out of curiosity. Yeah. It's not good.
No. From the sounds of it, this movie sounds like the best case scenario when it comes to these 2000s horror remakes.
It is.
I mean, because like, what else counts? Like the 2003 Texas Chainsaw movie,
the Rob Zombie's Halloween.
Yeah, no. I think
technically there's like the House of Wax movie, but that's not like an icon movie.
Yeah.
I hear that one's also pretty good too.
Well, out of the ones I've seen, and that is Texas Chainsaw, Halloween, and this one, this is definitely the best one. Like, it's not great, but it's the one I would sooner revisit over, like, because I fucking hated Rob Zombie's Halloween and Texas Chainsaw with Arlie Ermey. Look, I love Arlie Ermey as much as the next guy, but he did not save that movie, unfortunately.
So I guess wrap up this movie. Favorite kill and weird moment. I guess we've already kind of covered them.
Yeah, sleeping bag.
Yeah.
What's a good weird moment?
Jason having a bat cave at all.
You know what? That's about as good as it's gonna get. Yeah, no, that's about as weird as this movie gets. Is
all right.
Fucking Jason Batcave.
So there's two things we can do now. Which do you want to do first? Do we want to go over our ranking, or do we want to talk about the box set overall?
I say we go over the box set. You know, just to really establish it. Like,
so, the box set itself, it's this nice, good-sized box set. It'll go on your shelf well if you have the room for it. It has great artwork by Devin Whitehead, who does a lot of stuff for Cavity Colors, the t-shirt company. It's great artwork. It has the image of Jason's mask on the top. It's a nice hard box, and each movie gets its own case.
Yeah.
And
each of these 12 Blu-rays, which I've been showing
technically
in
there's
recent
13.
Episodes. Well, yeah, because of the bonus disc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We haven't gone over like what's actually included. We talked about the fact that they have reversible covers for the most part.
Yeah, that's about it. I mean, I've been showing them in recent episodes as like when like we're talking about the respective movies. I've been showing like pictures of the Blu-rays themselves. And I'll also do that in this episode.
Do you want to actually go over what's on each disc though?
Oh, there's so much though.
Well, yeah, but that's also the point of getting the box set. There's so much. That's why you get the
Yeah.
box set.
All right, let's.
Because there's
go
bonus
over it.
features that are in this box set that aren't in later releases even. Like the Paramount took like the versions of the movies that are on these box sets and released something like an 8-pack that don't have most of the
Yeah.
bonus features that are in here. The 4K Steelbook I got yesterday doesn't have most of these bonus features. It has some of them, but not all of
Right.
them.
Right.
So let's go over this. We have new at the time 4K scan, which camera negative for the first movie,
Mm-hmm.
which this is a Blu-ray, so it's not actually going to be in 4K, but it is a 4K scan.
Yeah.
It has both the uncut and theatrical version. Audio commentary with director Sean S. Cunningham, screenwriter Victor Miller, author Peter Brack, who did the book, and more. This is only for the uncut version. Fresh cuts, new tales from Friday the 13th. The man behind the legacy, Sean S. Cunningham. Theatrical trailer, TV spot, radio spot, still gallery.
Yeah.
Part 2.
Oh boy.
Again, new 4K scan. Inside Crystal Lake Memories, the book. Oh, that's cool. Friday's Legacy, horror conventions. So, like, going to, like, conventions and seeing how it lives on there.
Yeah.
Podcast interview with Amy Steele. I believe she was that's Ginny, right?
That must be Ginny. It has
Yeah.
to be, yeah.
Theatrical trailer, TV spots, radio spots, still gallery. Part 3. Another new 4K scan and a new 3D transfer. That was a big deal. Audio
remember you mentioned that,
commentary with actors Larry Zerner, Paul Kratka, Richard Brooker, and Dana Kimmel. Yep, Larry did a commentary, baby.
Show Shelley.
Fresh cuts 3D Terror, not Taylor. Yo, it's a Taylor in 3D. You get your suit for free.
You get your suit for free.
Comes right out of the TV.
Oh, there you go.
Legacy of the Mask. That's funny,
Yeah.
given the context.
Given the fucking context.
In that there isn't any.
Yeah.
Theatrical trailer, TV spot, still gallery. Part 4. New
The final
4K scan.
chapter.
Audio commentary by director Joseph Zito, screenwriter Barney Cohen, and editor Joel Goodman. Fan audio commentary by filmmakers Adam Green and Joe Lynch. Slash scenes with audio commentary by Joseph Zito. Jason's Unlucky Day, 25 years after Friday the 13th, the final chapter. The Lost Ending. So, like, the uncut version of the ending sequence.
Right, exactly.
Theatrical trailer, still gallery, and more.
And more. And we're only at part 4.
Oops, I can't show you the rest because I'm not going to put this in my player at this point.
Yeah.
Part 5. New audio commentary with actors Melanie Kinnaman, Deborah Voorhees, and Tiffany Helm. Old audio commentary by director, co-screenwriter Danny Steinman and actors John Shepard, who played Tommy, and Shavar Ross. Fan commentary with filmmakers Adam Green and Joe Lynch. New Beginnings, the making of Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning. Lost Tales from Camp Blood Part 5. So, okay. On various random releases, there are these things called Lost Tales from Camp Blood, which are like mini snippets of like a fan film or something for Friday the 13th.
Oh, no kidding.
I watched one of them. It's like not Jason, but a guy in a mask still. It's like a new thing that takes place in Crystal Lake or something. I don't know. I didn't see the first one because it's so sporadically included on things.
That's funny.
It's weird. The Crystal Lake Massacres Revisited, Part 2. Wait a minute. Theatrical trailer, still gallery. 6.
We're halfway there.
New audio commentary with actors CJ Graham, Tom Matthews, Vincent Guastafera, Carrie Noonan, and Cynthia Kanya. Audio commentary with director Tom McLaughlin. A different audio commentary with Tom McLaughlin, Vincent Guastafera, and editor Bryce Green.
Bruce Green, yeah.
Wow, that's a lot of the same people in all 3 commentaries. That's funny.
Wow.
Fan audio commentary with Adam Green and Joe Lynch. Jason Lives, the making of Part 6. Lost Tales of Camp Blood Part 6. The Crystal Lake Massacres Revisited Part 3. Meeting Mr. Voorhees. Slash scenes. Theatrical trailer, still gallery.
Oh boy.
Part 7.
Here we go.
Audio commentary by director John Carl Beekler and actor Kane Hodder. Audio commentary by John Carl Beekler and actors Laura Park Lincoln and Kane Hodder. So the only difference is that one of them has Tina in it and the other doesn't.
Okay.
Jason's Destroyer, The Making of Part 7, Slash Scenes, Mind Over Matter, The Truth About Telekinesis.
I was very tempted to watch this because I was like, oh, is this going to be like how Showgirls included like a lap dance tutorial?
I hope so. Makeover by Maddie. Need a little touch-up work my ass. Theatrical trailer still gallery.
Yeah, there you go.
Alright, Manhattan time.
Manhattan time.
Audio commentary with director Rob Hedden. Audio commentary with actors Scott Reeves, Jensen Daggett, and Kane Hodder.
Mm-hmm.
New York has a new problem making a part 8. Slash Scenes gag reel theatrical trailer still gallery. Yeah, it's a gag reel that time.
Yeah. Oh, you mean the movie?
Jason Goes to Hell.
There we go.
Both unrated and theatrical versions. That's something you didn't mention, that like Jason Goes to Hell is the first time that since it was the 90s and VHS was a known thing, and also Laserdisc, that they were like able to like, okay, we'll release the R-rated version in theaters, but then we'll put the unrated one specifically on VHS.
Yeah.
So that was like the first time they didn't really have to like worry about stuff getting lost, because like, yeah, it's fine, it'll just be all on VHS then.
Yeah, so I watched the unrated version, I believe.
Same. Because why wouldn't you?
I mean, I didn't help much because it's Jason Goes to fucking Hell.
New 2K scan of the Inner Positive. New audio commentary by director Adam Marcus and author Peter Brack. New interviews with Adam Marcus and actor Kane Hodder. Additional TV footage with new optional commentary by Adam Marcus and Peter Brack. Oh my god. Audio commentary with Adam Marcus and screenwriter Dean Lorey.
All right, we get it, Adam. You have a lot to say about this movie.
Theatrical trailer.
But no still gallery.
Nope.
No.
Damn. Jason X. New interviews with Sean Cunningham and Noel Cunningham. And Kane Hodder and Christy Angus. Audio commentary with director Jim Isaac, writer Todd Farmer, and Noel Cunningham. The Many Lives of Jason Voorhees, a documentary on the history of Jason. By Any Means Necessary, The Making of Jason X. Yeah, that's the name of that one. By Any Means Necessary, which I think tells you about Jason X.
Yeah.
Theatrical trailer. Evil gets an upgrade. I like these slipcovers for Jason X because the only difference between the two is that the spine is different.
Oh, is it? Oh,
that's the only difference between the two, is that the one has the red X and the other just has the logo.
Oh, interesting. I like the red, if I'm going to be honest.
Well, that's it. The red keeps it uniform with all of them by default.
Yeah.
I just have it as the default, as the regular logo, just cause.
Yeah.
And like the only difference from the Jason Goes to Hell reversible is that the one has the tagline instead, and I guess also the actual logo on the spine.
Yeah, no, I think I kept it as the red just because I just like it that way.
Freddy vs. Jason. Special features. These are all the archival stuff from the original Blu-ray, I guess. That's something else we didn't talk about. That both of these last two autoplay, and they also have trailers beforehand.
Yeah, the trailer before Freddy vs. Jason was for The Cell 2. And I'm like, also, they made a second one?
And also, it's, for whatever reason, it's cropped weird.
Yeah, 4:3. I was like, oh, I'm home.
I'm assuming it's because it was probably put on both this and the DVD version.
Yes.
But yeah, special features. Commentary by director Ronnie Yu, Robert Englund, and Ken Kersinger. So you get Ronnie, Freddy, and Jason doing the commentary. Deleted alternate scenes, including the original opening and ending. Featurette gallery covering the film's development, art direction, makeup effects, stunt work, and more. Visual effects exploration with the creative team. Publicity promotional vignettes, which there's, if you look it up, there's like a fun bit they did to promote the movie where they actually had Freddy and Jason in Vegas, where they're doing like a WWE style weigh-in where they shit talk each other.
Oh my god.
Il Nino, How Can I Live music video. Theatrical trailer and TV spots.
Incredible.
2009. College Kids... I'm not going to read that. Both the original theatrical version and extended unrated cut. Hacking back, slashing forward. Terra trivia track with picture-in-picture. That is such a 2000s bonus feature. Holy shit.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
The 7 best kills. The rebirth of Jason Voorhees / scenes. God, the Michael Bay credit.
Yeah, that's every movie. But wait, there's
And
more.
There's one more disc case here, which is just bonus materials.
Mm-hmm.
New interview with composer Harry Manfredini. New location featurette going over the locations of the first movie. Return to Crystal Lake, making Friday the 13th. The Friday the 13th Chronicles. Secrets galore behind the gore. Documentary, Slice and Dice, the slasher film forever. Documentary, Scream Queens, horror heroines exposed. You exposing them? Don't the movies already do that?
Yeah, I've seen these movies.
They're plenty exposed. Crystal Lake Victims Tell All. Tales from the Cutting Room. Friday Artifacts and Collectibles. Jason Forever.
And I don't think that's every single bonus feature on these 2 discs, because I did watch the Harry Manfredini interview. It was really cool listening to him talk about the music and, like, you know, how he views scoring the movies. But then I also watched an interview with Harry Crosby, who's the actor from the first movie, who is Bing Crosby's son. And that was funny to watch. They don't advertise that on the back of this one.
There's also a booklet at the very end as well included. It's a nice bound booklet, and it just goes over every movie.
Oh my god, yeah. I just want to mention this booklet. I started reading it. I have not finished it, but I just want to mention it does go into detail over what Gene Siskel did in response to the first movie. And I remember you had mentioned, like, on like a past episode, like mentioning that, like, you
how
said
they doxed
like,
Betsy Palmer.
Well, you said, like, you know what Siskel and Ebert did, right? And I'm just like, yeah, like, I said it offhandedly, like, yeah, like, I imagine they just said, like, oh, the movie sucks, but, like, no,
they doxed Betsy Palmer. They printed her address in the paper.
Like, holy moly, that is fucked up, dude. You do not do that. Like,
yeah, they fucking doxed Betsy Palmer.
Like, and they're trying to take the moral high ground by saying, like, this movie is fucking horrible. It's
you
like,
should
dude,
write to Betsy Palmer at her home address to tell her how disappointed you are.
Dude, like, holy crap, that is fucked up.
I also saw that, like, Famous Monster Film and posted an entire summary of the movie before release for some reason. Why would you do that?
Well, that's just funny. Like, just spoiling the whole entire movie.
Like, damn, why would Famous Monsters did that? Why?
Yeah. Well,
aren't you on our side?
Yeah. Well, see, here's the thing. Even with all that, I still had no idea that Pamela was the killer in the first movie. So, clearly, it all just worked out. Oh, but yeah, lots of bonus features, William, and I haven't even watched a quarter of them.
Same. And, like, other releases don't even have all of these either. And, like, this, I think, doesn't even have everything from all the other past releases, because these movies have been released so many times.
Yeah.
Like, this is not the first time these movies were released on Blu-ray before. There was, like, that tin collection back in, like, 2014 or whatever. There's, like, the famous DVD collection from Crystal Lake to Manhattan that had all the Paramount ones for the longest time.
Right.
There's, like, the ones you can get, like, double pass you can get for, like, the Warner Brothers movies.
Yeah, this is just Friday the 13th up the wazoo, man.
They did steelbooks for, like, the anniversaries recently. They just put the first movie on actual 4K like a year ago. And, like, they can do 2, 3, and 4 because they have 4K transfers from the Shout Factory to use.
Right, exactly.
So, yeah, when Paramount needs more money, they'll do it.
Oh my god, yeah, they will.
Paramount loves to re-release Friday the 13th 1 through 8.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a really nice box set if you can get it for a good price.
Oh my god, yeah.
I got it on release because I pre-ordered it, and I also got like the big posters, the 2 big posters they did with it. Like the one is the one poster is just like the artwork you have on the box set, and the other is like another like a new artwork of the ending of the first movie where Jason's bursting out of the lake to grab Alice.
That's cool. That's cool.
I don't have room to hang them up, but I have them.
No, there you go.
They're like cool posters. You can't get them anymore because they were only a pre-order thing.
Right, exactly.
But like, this box set I heard was also supposed to be like a limited edition thing, but you can still get it. I guess because
Yeah.
they worked out a contract again to actually keep making it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because like if people were buying it,
I mean, yeah, because I bought it, so.
Now, granted, this is a Blu-ray box set with 12 movies and a bunch of bonus features and a booklet. This thing's like $100 if or more.
I'm pretty sure, I don't exactly remember the price, but I'm pretty sure I paid like $150 for it at that FYE.
I don't remember what I paid, but it was definitely over 100.
Yeah, so, but
I got on release in 2020, but like, 12 movies.
12 movies, all this bonus features, like, yeah, of course it's going to be that expensive. That does not surprise me.
You're getting what you paid for.
Exactly. So do we want to, well,
I guess the final note really is just go over the movies and rank them.
We'll rank the movies. I'll just say this. I think it's pretty obvious. I'm keeping this collection. Like, remember, that's what this podcast is deciding whether I'm going to keep these movies or not.
Sure, that's the point.
Well, look. Not only did it cost me $150, but like I've been watching these movies for the past few weeks now. I kind of have to keep this, like, on principle. But you know what? Like, the fact that I still enjoyed these movies as much as I did, like, even though I fucking despise Jason Goes to Hell, I'm like morbidly fascinated by it because it's so
such
terrible.
An interesting failure.
Yeah, I can't get rid of it. Like, all of these movies, I respect. Like, even at their worst, I respect something about them. Except Jason Goes to Hell. But the fact that I fucking hate that movie so much is somewhat, like, morbid respect out of that. So yeah.
You have to listen to those commentaries.
Yeah, I really do. I really fucking do. So, yeah, no, this has been an interesting journey with Friday the 13th. I'm so glad I made this the fucking 3 for episode this month.
Was this series anything like you thought it would be?
No. There were so many twists and turns.
It's a hell of a franchise.
I'm glad there was. I'm glad there's still movies out there that surprise me, That's franchise for the people, man. Franchise for the people.
Well, yeah, we'll go over 12, 11, everything. I guess we'll both say what our 12th is and go from there.
Sure.
So, I mean, we both already said number 12, Jason Goes to Hell.
Yeah, number 12, Jason Goes to Hell.
There really isn't much more to say about that.
Nope.
All right, at number 11, I have Jason X.
Okay, number 11, I have Jason Takes Manhattan.
All right. And like, I saw your list at one point while I was looking at it. I don't remember what everything is. I know that we have different placements for a lot of these, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Again, like, a lot of the movies are similar quality-wise that you can put them really anywhere.
Exactly. I know I definitely have number 1 where like the number 1 is definitely concrete and the number 12 is definitely concrete, but everything in between, it's just like
it can change. And like some of these are going to be tied to for different places.
Yeah, no, this is definitely how I feel about these movies.
And like I know I'm definitely in the minority on like Jason Takes Manhattan anyway.
Yes.
So like
I'm in the minority with part 5.
Yeah.
So
but yeah, that number I had Jason X, and you have Jason Takes Manhattan. Number 10, Part 7.
Number 10, the Friday the 13th remake.
All right.
Yeah.
Number 9, I have the Friday the 13th remake.
Number 9, I have Freddy vs. Jason.
All right. Number 8, I have Part 5.
Number 8, I have Jason X.
All right. That's higher up than I thought it would be for you.
Yeah, I had fun with it.
It has moments.
It does have its moments.
I wish I liked it more than I do.
Yeah.
Number 7, the original.
Number 7, Part 7. That was not on purpose.
How'd that work out?
It was not on purpose, I swear.
Number 6, Part 3, 3D.
Oh, Part 6, Part 3.
Hey, we linked up. Nice.
Wow, look at that.
Wow, 12, 6, and 1, we all have linked up.
Yeah, look at that.
And they're the ones that are all divisible by 6.
Oh. It's a conspiracy, man.
They're all the ones divisible by 3. That's crazy. Anyway, number 5, Final Chapter.
Me too.
Hey, never
Yeah, we
mind.
synced up.
Fuck what I just said.
Well, I used to have part 3 rated above part 4, but part 4's really grown on me. Like I mean, not just because Crispin Glover danced, but it is a huge reason why. But no, part 4 has grown on me.
Okay. And I could probably swap 4 and 5. Part 4 is where I have Jason Takes Manhattan.
Yeah, number 4 is where I have part 5, but like I could probably switch that with like part 1, because like I probably only put part 1 up there just because it's like the original and I have more respect for it. But part 5 is just so funny. Like
my man Reggie
the Reckless.
Number 3, I have part 2.
Yeah, number 3, I have part 1.
Number 2, I have Freddy versus Jason.
Number 2, I have part 2. Freddy, part 2, the bag movie.
Yeah, that was number 2 for me for a while until I rewatched Freddy vs. Jason.
Yeah, there you go.
And number 1, part 6.
Yeah, number 1, part 6, easily.
That's pretty obvious for a lot of people. That's just where it goes.
So, what were you gonna be when you grew up?
I was gonna be Jason.
Oh yeah.
You know, I like the Korean poster for the remake where it's just Jason holding up like a vacation photo of all the college kids.
Oh yeah, I saw you changed it to that. That's funny.
Well, that's just what I had set to for a while.
Oh yeah, no, that is exactly the kind of poster I would imagine you had for it.
It's funny.
Yeah, it is.
But I have the first one ranked at number 7, and yet I got my 4th copy of it yesterday.
Yeah, well, it's an iconic movie at this point, so I get it.
It earned its place in history.
It did. Yes, I agree. We haven't ended the podcast normally in a while. So, William, I'd say shout out your stuff finally. Where can people find you?
On Twitter, you can find me on my actual channel. I haven't uploaded anything in like 3 years. I'm working on it.
I'm working on it.
Links in description, probably.
Links in description.
Remember when Twitter was called Twitter?
No. Wait. No. Oh boy. Well, William, I'd say that does it, man. We did it. We talked about every Friday the 13th movie ever made thus far.
Hopefully they'll get to make the 13th one.
Yeah, you know what? Even though I'll never get rid of this collection, I would love for them to make a 13th one, just
because it'd be called the 13th one.
Yeah, exactly. You have to. You have to. I don't know if it'll be any good, but honestly,
it can't be worse than Jason Goes to Hell.
It really can't. That would be the most disappointing thing in the world. It really would be. But thank you so much, William, for joining me on this odyssey of Jason and Friday the 13th movies. It's been really, really something special, I must say. But yeah, I don't really know what else to say other than thank you all for listening. And always remember, no, I got nothing. There's really nothing to remember. Just
what were you gonna remember when you grew up?
See you next year for Nightmare on Elm Street.
Just